Early voting is actually looking really good for Republicans right now, and that's probably a meaningless statement because no one knows what's going on. There's probably been a massive party realignment, but in battleground states for the Senate, Republicans are currently leading. That doesn't mean a whole lot because individually there's some states doing really well, some states where the Democrats are actually doing really well. And then when it comes to the battleground states for the presidency, Republicans are actually doing really well. Now, they are losing, but everyone expected a more massive turnout for Democrats, so it's actually really close. No one knows what's going to happen. The pollsters are convinced, and I just got to say, if it turns out that Donald Trump is actually on track to win and he actually does win, each and every one of these pollsters, you're fired. There's no way they have any credibility left after 2 separate elections where they just flubbed everything. But we got a bunch to talk about. We got like rappers endorsing Trump and then like swearing at Trump, and it's just kind of weird. So, and then there's some breaking news. Apparently they found a suspicious package outside of the confirmation hearing of Amy Coney Barrett, which is basically happening right now. They're going to vote her in at some point during this show, so we'll definitely pull that up when it happens. But we're hanging out, so of course, Ian's chilling.
What up,
he's
guys?
He's got a little sloth coffee going on.
He does.
Slow down.
Yeah, it says slow down, guys. Yeah.
Lydia, of course, is producing.
I'm back from Colorado. Hello,
and it is my displeasure to unfortunately state that Seamus is here again.
You know what? You're no picnic either, Tim.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm so awful.
This wasn't exactly my first choice for my Monday evening plan.
We forced him to come.
They literally forced me out here.
You look smooth with your new haircut. Sorry to cut you off.
I appreciate that. It's funny. The first time I ever came out here to work with Tim, they flew me out first class.
Yeah, man.
And
Did we?
And then after
spending my money.
and then I think after dealing with me, they're like, coach every time since. There's no way.
Welcome to the crew.
So Seamus is FreedomToons. I guess everybody knows that, right?
I think so.
Do they? I hope so.
FreedomToons. YouTube/FreedomToons.
Yeah,
right?
YouTube.com/FreedomToons. Check
Very
out my
funny
cartoons.
stuff.
Thank you.
You just did this thing about the New York Post censorship.
Yes.
With Jack Dorsey, and he's like standing guard at a club.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really funny. I just got to give the synopsis because I love it. Like, there's this guy, and he's basically like, I got this really big story, about the vice president's son. And Jack's all like, well, I can't just let anybody in.
Let anybody in.
Yeah.
We're very careful on Twitter.com about who we actually let post on our platform because we want to be responsible.
But my favorite part is when a guy in a straitjacket runs up screaming, the Russians are everywhere.
Thank you.
Trump is a Russian. And he's like, right this way, sir. And he lets him in.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what it would... Oh, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. People should check it out.
You guys should check it out. YouTube.com/FreedomToons. Watch some of my videos. It's a funny one. A buddy of mine suggested the idea to me, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. I think it's a good way to tackle the issue.
It was great. It was great.
Thank you.
So if you haven't already, smash that like button. Subscribe to the show Monday through Friday, live at 8 p.m. We're going to have a huge election night party.
Yes.
It was an accident. I wasn't actually planning it.
I'm stoked.
But every time we have like a guest in the past 2 weeks, I've been like, what are you doing for election night? You should just like come hang out. And now we have like 20 of our past guests are all going to be
kidding me?
So great.
I thought I was special. They invited me. Like, you should come out the week before the election,
wait,
and the week of the election. So like, you could like do the show for election night. It'll be crazy.
We had to lie to everybody, and you're the special one.
Yeah.
You had to lie to
People only want to hear you, Seamus.
I know. You had to lie to everyone and tell them I wasn't going to be there. Or else there's
True,
no
yeah,
way
it's
to
part
show
of the
up.
lie, yeah.
Dude, you could have just invited me and like given me a week to just watch everyone's videos so I could just do impressions of them and you wouldn't have to fly them out.
And then what we'll do is we'll be like, oh no, it's a camera glitch. Our microphones are still working. But Ben Shapiro is here and Jordan Peterson here.
It's like, I don't know if Donald Trump...
Isn't it interesting that Jordan Peterson came back right before the election? How's that going to affect
great.
him?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is he going to do?
God.
Think he's going to comment? And he can't vote, right? He's Canadian.
Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Canadians don't have any rights here.
they don't.
They
Yeah,
don't
no.
get to
True.
vote.
Nor
We don't
should
let
they.
them do that,
But
nor
he
should
could
they.
get like a million
All
people
Canada
to
has
vote.
is syrup mines. That's their
true.
entire economy.
Did you know that they have a strategic maple syrup reserve?
They do.
I would believe that.
And
yeah.
there was
cool.
a great maple syrup heist.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Not even kidding. Yeah,
Yep.
total for
Yeah.
real.
What happened?
Like some dudes were like for over a long period of time, I guess, were siphoning off their strategic maple syrup
Millions.
reserves, like millions of dollars worth of maple syrup.
Sometimes you just lean into the stereotype.
That's true.
I mean, that's what happens.
You have
There's
to.
look, man. There's some stereotypes exist for a reason.
Yep.
Isn't the saying?
And none of the Irish stereotypes are true.
That's
I find.
true.
I don't think I have any family members who drink too much, or like any extended
I
family. I don't
actually-
think I've ever known any Irish Catholics or Irish people who had a lot of kids.
I
I'm
unfortunately-
kidding. I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay.
Irish people, Irish Americans do probably drink and fight more than the average person. I'm canceled. Hashtag I'm canceled.
Yeah.
But
Go
I've
to-
noticed
go to the-
being
go to
from the
Chicago
Chicago
South Side.
area. Yeah, exactly.
Go to the South
So
Side.
my
South Side
entire
Irish.
family's from the south side of Chicago, and I love them to death. But we moved out to the suburbs when I was a kid, but we'd be out there all the time, and it's where the entire extended family was.
Dude,
And yeah,
dude,
Irish
dude,
Catholic
dude.
Chicagoans are an interesting
Do you know what happened when these far left protesters went through the Irish neighborhood in Chicago? They got beat up. I'm not even kidding. It was the NATO protest in 2012. I was there, and I knew once they started marching, I think it was like South Halstead, I was like, oh no. Like,
Oh boy.
this is not
Isn't
going to
that
go off.
fantastic?
There was like some old dude who was like 60 something, like missing teeth, and he had pulls his shirt off, and he was.
Of course he does.
They were livid.
Jacked.
They were like, get out of our neighborhood,
Yeah.
and started just punching people. And they were like, why is he attacking us? I'm like, dude, you're marching through his neighborhood at night screaming. Like,
Yeah,
these people don't care about your politics,
He
man.
came out and whipped his butt with a can of Old Style in his hand.
That's awesome.
Old style.
Yeah, like these people don't realize when it comes to actual like lower class white people, they won't stand for this privileged upper crust,
No,
far
and
left
no lower
protests.
class like people at all. If you talk to black people, almost like the vast majority of black people I've met, and granted, like I live in the South, I live in Georgia, but they tend not to have left-leaning political views.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like the idea that everyone has just totally adopted, or every group that the left claims to advocate for has adopted their socially progressive worldview is completely
Dude.
insane.
I saw. I think Lauren Southern posted this on Instagram, and it was like I think it was in the UK. The proportion of political factions and how much they post. And the progressive left is more than half of all social posts.
Wow.
And then each other faction was under 10%.
Yep.
With like conservatives at like 7%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it interesting how we define conservative, though, to be all of those other factions? If you're
Well, they
part
actually-
of anything other than the
this-
progressive left, you're conservative.
This graph actually had a bunch of different things in it. There was like
I believe it.
pragmatic moderate, and there was like
Yes.
traditional liberal and stuff.
Yes, but
it was progressive left 55%. Everyone else was like 5.
No, 100%. I just think it's interesting that in common parlance, conservative is usually used to refer to any of the groups that you mentioned aside from the progressive left. Like moderate progressives are referred to as conservatives.
You know what I think's
liberals.
really funny about the U.S. though is that like the left is defined by the most extreme of the left by choice, like by their choice.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
like if you have me and I'm like I am pro-choice and I believe in a progressive tax, then what?
Amy Coney Barrett has officially been confirmed.
Beautiful.
You heard it here first.
Beautiful.
Yes.
My prayers have been answered. It's
Yes, I
fantastic.
enjoyed it.
All right, so
God.
Anyway.
she's going to the Supreme Court.
Thank
Yeah, man.
God.
Wow,
That's
man.
amazing.
That's
That is
really
incredible.
neat.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Me
Yeah.
too.
So what are they? Anyway,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
should we talk about
great
that? I
time.
don't know.
Yeah,
Welcome-
let's do it.
Well, so actually, this is a good segue. We'll
Yeah.
do this because we'll talk about the suspicious package, I guess. Not
Yes.
that it matters all that much, but it goes into what I'm saying about this extremism from the
Yeah.
left. Like, if a lot of these people on the left view the left and right as defined by status quo versus the revolution, like from a French Revolution perspective.
Yes.
Who's for the status quo? So therefore, they're like, Tim Pool's obviously right wing. He likes the system. He's a reformer liberal. It's like,
Stupid.
well, I mean, that's correct. I am
Technically.
Yeah,
I am
but
a
that doesn't make
liberal
you a
and I'm for
right-winger.
reforming. But in terms of their view of having a revolution, yeah, it does. Because I am not for their revolution. They're weirdos. So then what happens is you get someone like Bernie Sanders who's like, we're going to vote. We're going to change the system. And they're like, capitalist, nationalist. You're not left wing. I kid you not. They've called Bernie Sanders right wing.
Are they calling him that?
There
That's
was
fascinating.
there was a
That doesn't
post.
shock me.
There was a post on the World Socialist website that called Bernie Sanders a nationalist capitalist.
I remember. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. So, like,
It's not left. Listen. If left and right are defined by who's in favor of the revolution, what happens if you're on the left, but then you like demand a revolution of the left, so you're even further left?
Oh, wow.
Now the far left is right to you.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Tim, but Bernie Sanders is actually a moderate. You know that in Europe he would be considered right wing.
Yeah.
I'm so, dude, I cannot stand that. It's like, yes, all right, yes, left and right are subjective. There is not like a set definition that we've stuck with from the French Revolution with respect to policy positions that have carried over since then. But yeah, the left and right shift in your nation, and it happens to be the case that Bernie Sanders is pretty far to the left in the United States.
He's almost as far left as you can go on the economic scale.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
in favor of the worker controlling the means of production.
Yeah. Well, and this is also funny. They do this thing where they'll look at European politics and say that if we want to be more objective, we should define our political spectrum in relationship to theirs. And they'll go like, oh, well, like in Europe, this is actually a moderate policy, X, Y, and Z. But like nobody in Europe has any policies, or at least most countries in Europe do not have policies on abortion, which are as left-wing as the Democratic Party's is.
So there's this graph I like to show of the Democrats moving super far left and the Republicans staying where they are. Comes from the New York Times.
Yeah.
It's an article called "What Happened to Our Political Center of Gravity." But they did this clever thing where you see the Democrats go super far left, but then they're just over a black line that says median party. And so when leftists see this, they're like, wow, so the Democrats are center left? That's funny. And Republicans are far right. It's like, no. They're left of the average European party. And Europe is very far left.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means we are more far left than Europe.
Yeah.
Or the Democrats
Or
are.
the Democratic Party.
I was
yeah.
thinking about like the way an atom works with like the heavy center and then the electron, and the proton is much heavier than the electron, but they have equal magnetic charge. So it's kind of like the right is like 90+% of the population now, because this far left is so radical and all over the place. They have relatively equal magnetic charge because of social media, like equal amounts of influence, it seems like, even though there's so much fewer people on the
I
left.
would actually
It's the
disagree.
money.
I think it's the opposite. I think that it's always been the case that most people have had pretty like socially conservative or maybe even libertarian views, but the mainstream media has always been left wing or center left. And so once social media came about and you actually had people who were voicing opinions that didn't necessarily conform to the status quo of the dominant media culture, right wing views started getting more airtime. And this is why they say things like social media is biased towards the right, because while on social media you can actually see a right wing perspective.
Right. They're surprised to see it.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about, that power that the left has, is because Wall Street is literally supporting it.
Yeah.
So I use Wall Street as kind of a catch-all term for the tech billionaires, the media billionaires, and literal
Wall Street.
big
The
Wall
big
Street.
fat cats.
The kings
One-
of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So
Who else is funding it?
So how is it, Bernie Sanders like, you got to vote Biden. vote for the guy who's being funded by Wall Street.
Yes. It's insane. It's completely insane. The fact that, and Joe Biden was playing so friendly with all of the people. I'm sorry, not Joe Biden, but Bernie Sanders would play so friendly with all the people who he said were part of the establishment. It's like, all right, you're telling me that this establishment literally exists to screw the poor over and help the rich. And you're like calling Joe Biden your friend. You're saying that you like Elizabeth Warren, that she's a decent person. How do you expect anyone to take you seriously?
Dude, don't you get it? Bernie was only complaining because it was sour grapes. Elizabeth Warren was worth, what, $5 million? The Bidens are worth, I think, like 16 million. Pelosi, with her husband, worth like 200. And so there's Bernie with his humble 174K. And he was, living in his little Vermont house. And then all of a sudden, people started saying, we like this guy. They bought his book. He became a millionaire. And all of a sudden, his millionaire buddies were like, come on.
Well-
And he was like, okay, I'm in the club.
Tim, if you wrote a best-selling book, you could be a millionaire too.
That's what he said,
That's
right?
what he
That's what he
said,
said. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't think it's that. I
He's
still
a
love
nationalist
Bernie.
capitalist, isn't he?
He's hysterical.
I think that it's because he hates Trump, and he's
No.
got TDS
No.
so hard,
TDS?
I don't
which
think
is
so.
sad, but that's what I
Nope.
think it is.
No, because here's the thing. This is a cliche. I understand that this is sort of the conventional wisdom at this point, and everyone said this. But if there was a candidate who actually had could stand a chance to go up against Trump, I do think it would be Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
I think working class people actually like Bernie Sanders in a way that they don't most of the other candidates that the left was trying to put up.
5 years ago.
You think 5 years ago?
5 years ago,
Yeah, I
when-
don't think Bernie would have won against Trump, but I
would've
think he
voted
would have
for
stood a better chance than like Biden.
5 years ago, Bernie Sanders said in an interview with Vox, he was asked about open borders, and he said, that is a Koch brothers proposal.
Yeah.
Why we are not for open borders. Now he's on the stage
Koch.
being like,
It's
we got to decriminalize all border crossings, free health care. And then, dude, the billionaires are bad, but not the ones funding Joe Biden. He's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump is a billionaire. He's bad.
Well, back then he was also saying millionaires are bad because he wasn't
I
one
know.
yet.
Right, yeah.
now
Now
he's a
it's-
millionaire. Now it's just the billionaires. What happens when he becomes a billionaire? He's gonna be like, trillionaires like Jeff Bezos cannot run this country. It's
Yep.
ridiculous.
Yep.
It's funny because so Joe Biden gets more donations from higher income zip codes than Donald Trump does.
That's true.
And
I read that the other day.
he's raising tons of money from high, like very, very wealthy billionaire investors. How are we in? This is the craziest thing to me. I'm talking to some of these leftists. Sometimes I'll tweet them and stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand how you guys found yourselves on the side of the billionaires, like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, literal billionaires. And you're like, well, I think they're all right. And I'm just like, I'm asking some of these people, do me a favor. Like, you don't like Trump, right? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to like Trump. Can you say Trump is bad, Joe Biden is bad? I'll do it first. Trump is bad, Joe Biden is bad. Your turn. And they won't do it. They won't do it. How is the revolution on the side of the like conglomerates, the international interests, the corporations, the billionaires, the crony establishment politicians?
It's almost like it actually has nothing to do with helping the poor. It's almost as if the Democratic Party has no interest in that at all. And it's just about getting their own radically left-wing political agenda across that just happens to be trendy with the intellectual elite, including most tech millionaires and billionaires.
This is the weird thing. Like, what are Republicans doing? To be fair, this was interesting. No. Jake Tapper and Wolf Blitzer were just ragging on Nancy Pelosi because the Republicans have conceded on the COVID relief bill. This is the mind-blowing thing. I used to say, like, you know what, I don't know what the Republicans are doing. I think they're trash the same. You know, like it's rhinos and dinos. It's these people who want to get in office. Just give me the power. I'll do whatever I want. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a big fan of Republican policy for the most part, even when they do actually meet it. But I like principle.
Yeah.
Now I'm like talking to my family. I'm like, they're like, what are the Republicans doing for us? Well, actually, the Republicans just like caved to the Democrats on all the COVID stuff to get the bill passed so that 25 million Americans can get their unemployment benefits in this crisis. And Nancy Pelosi said no. And it was so bad. Wolf Blitzer called her out. Members of her own party called her out.
I saw that.
Jake Tapper just called her out.
Wow.
Jake Tapper said, it seems like the Republicans have moved your way on this, and you could take yes for an answer. And she was like, no. They're moving the goalposts. They say we're doing it. They're doing it. And you've got actual Democrats. I think it was Mark Rose. He said the Democrats need to learn how to declare victory and sort of walk away. You like walk away from this. They've won. Nancy Pelosi's like, here's the things we want. And Trump was like, okay, you got it. Well, I mean, we don't really want it.
Yeah, exactly.
So now she's been holding up the whole time. And it's really messed up because I see some resistance Democrats like really desperate. They hate Trump so much. And they're like, it's actually Trump's fault this isn't getting passed. And then CNN is like, actually, it's the Democrats. And I'm like, dude, when CNN is on the side of the Republicans, it must be really bad.
100%.
Really bad. That's the weirdest thing to me. It's the Republicans who are trying to help the poor.
What?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see that day.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I'm no fan of the Republican Party. I would tend to argue that at least like the principles behind conservative thought tend to be better for poor people because I think the government's just done an abysmal job attempting to help them. But I totally get what you're saying. It's really sad with the first COVID relief bill. I'm not as familiar with the second one, so if you'd like to break that down.
Same one.
Okay, because the first
Heroes
one was
Act.
literally, but the first ballot was literally just a handout to the richest people in the country.
For the one
The
the
first
Democrats
COVID
wanted.
relief bill, yeah. Well, no. I'm talking about the first ballot that they did several months ago. It was the largest transfer of wealth which has occurred in all of human history, and most of it went to the wealthiest people in the country and in the world, frankly. Basically, they gave the Federal Reserve, I believe, $450 billion so that they could leverage that to give out about $4.25 trillion in low-interest loans to the largest companies in the country. And then small businesses had to go through the Small Business Administration, which got a total of $350 billion and usually deals with about $30 billion over the course of a year. And now had to give out $350 billion over the course of several weeks. And so what happened was there was an insane amount of fraud. A lot of these small businesses didn't get the money. 60% of the businesses that closed during this lockdown are never going to reopen. But look what happened. The richest people in the country got these interest-free loans from the government, and now they're going to be able to buy up all of the assets of the small businesses that went under during COVID, and it's just going to be a massive consolidation of corporate power. And that's what the Democrats and Republicans gave to us in response to a pandemic.
And there's more. And there's more.
Yep.
The lockdowns destroyed the small businesses, and the big box stores and Amazon flourished, and their stock prices skyrocketed. So if you were a mom and pop shop that sold, bikes, you're done. But Walmart, they're good. They can sell all the bikes in the world.
1,000,000%.
Now, we did see some stories where, like in Michigan, they would put like plastic wrap up to block. It's like, you can't buy this. No one's allowed to buy these products. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
But what's crazy to me is how, and this is mostly a phenomenon of Democrat states with Democratic governors. The Republicans weren't really doing this for the most part. But you look at these movie theaters, they decided to just end the movie industry. That's really weird to me.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird. Like even right now, movie theaters are shut down in some states for no reason. None. Why? It's almost like they were like, oh yeah, movie theaters? I hate those. Just shut them down. They're gone.
It's a weird arbitrary thing.
Recirculated air and dirty chairs.
Yeah,
I'm imagining like, you got like, what's a good state? Phil Murphy in New Jersey, the governor. He's like, they're like, sir, which businesses should we shut down? And he remembers like when he was a little kid, like eating popcorn in a movie theater, watching Ninja Turtles or something, or what, I don't know, Star Wars. And then like some like older kid bullied him and pushed him down, and they all laughed at him and he spilled his food. And then he's like, no movie theaters.
None of the girls.
Shut them down.
None of the girls he asked to go to the movies went with him. I was like, we're getting rid of the movie theaters. There's no reason.
And that's what we got. The big box stores made billions in stock value. The wealth of these people skyrocketed. Small mom and pop shops are gone.
Yep.
And the craziest thing is, it's the Republicans who are saying that was a bad move.
Yeah.
This is what's scary about the Democrats winning. Do you know about the Great Reset?
We talked about this a little bit earlier. I don't think we had an in-depth conversation.
Do you know about the Great Reset?
No, tell me.
Can you Google search Great Reset?
Yeah,
World
I have that
Economic
article,
Forum?
I think, from the
I
Time
have heard
thing.
of this.
I'll pull it up for you.
The World Economic Forum is basically saying that like COVID is an opportunity to reset global capitalism
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
under intersectional values.
That's good. Good. I'm really glad to hear that. That's exactly.
But I'm not.
So I don't.
I'm just joshing around. I'm very unhappy about that.
It's funny because if they didn't put it on their website and I said this, they'd be like, "Tim Pool's a crazy conspiracy
making it up.
crackpot."
I'm still
I'm
saying
like,
it.
Yep.
It's
I-
literally just the Great Reset. Here you go. Check it out. World
man.
Economic Forum, the Great Reset.
Oh my gosh.
There
Let me
is
check
an
this.
and yeah. So there's an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis to improve the state of the world. The World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. It's kind of like an ominous name for
don't like
something.
That's unbelievably creepy. I mean, how and isn't there a fun irony in like people associating capitalism as it's referred to in this context to free markets, and yet this is literally the definition of a planned economy. Like you cannot
Right.
reset a market. That's not how it
Well,
works.
they have historically. The Greeks actually reset their economy when inflation got too crazy. They were just like,
and so did Venezuela.
we're saying no to debt. They reduced all the debt to zero and started over. Like, could
And-
you
and-
imagine?
And do you know what Venezuela did? They issued a
know.
new currency. It was called like the Bolivar Fuerte.
So the
in
banks,
Venezuela. Oh,
the Bank of International Settlements releasing crypto. I mean, they're basically going digital.
I
This
think
is like-
I think this Bitcoin's gonna become astronomically valuable. Like you hear these people. I'm not gonna give a hard number because I don't know. But listen, I hear people saying like Bitcoin's gonna hit 28K soon, and they're always giving these big numbers like Bitcoin's going sky high. Bitcoin is an international trade medium, a digital asset that can be transferred instantly, and it's the perfect tool for a store of value. Considering we're in digital spaces, we're doing things remote, we've locked everything down, and it can travel instantly across borders.
and you can't print as much of it as you want.
So
no,
it-
exactly.
it's-
There's a
it's-
finite amount.
It's the perfect medium for some kind of international store of value. And I think with this Great Reset, whatever they end up doing with it, they're kind of vague, but they do talk about, just like intersectionality. They have a bunch of articles.
God.
Yeah, here's a question I have for you, Tim, based on what I'm reading on the World Economic Forum, which I assume would just be a solid resource for learning about econ.
Yeah.
What is intersectionality, and how can it help businesses tackle diversity and inclusion?
Exactly.
What a great question.
And here it is from the World Economic Forum website.
Oh, cool.
And she's
Beautiful.
painting her eyelids with rainbows.
She's
Very
painting her
important.
eyelids with rainbows.
Oh, God.
The diversity and inclusion battle will only be won when people are seen as multifaceted in their social identities.
Intersectionality,
Intersectionality.
beautiful.
Intersectionality is a way of understanding how and why every individual's view of the world is different. From
But how
disability,
different is it allowed to be?
From disability to race
Not
to
very.
age inclusivity, none should be tackled in isolation. Inclusion means everyone all the time, not some people some of the time. I think it would be really great if they talked to the American intersectionals about, white people,
Yeah.
because then they could hear this and be like, oh, wait, we're not supposed to treat people that way. It's your own ideology, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So this the crazy thing is that we have these Democrats that are locking everything down. And I wonder to what extent you have Democratic governors who like this idea of intersectionality, Black Lives Matter, and the Great Reset. And I wonder how much what they're doing may be motivated by the World Economic Forum talking about
And
wanting
they
to do
mentioned age. So you think this is a bunch of 90-year-old wealthy people that
Well, no,
plan on
actually-
living till they're 6,000,
I
and they're
mean-
like, now's the time to get it in their minds.
Speaking of age, though, people talk about income inequality as though we just have these fixed brackets in the United States, but the reality is it's unbelievably fluid. And one of the number one drivers of income inequality is age. Like if you
Right.
correct for age, income
Yeah.
inequality, I wouldn't say entirely evens out, but it's reduced greatly. It's just people who work
Dude.
more and have worked for, in their industry a longer amount of time and have more experience are just wealthier than people
This,
who haven't worked
this is
as
actually
long.
this is actually crazy. I was reading something about this. It looks I could be wrong. I was just reading some stats. It seems like wealth inequality among millennials is insane.
I could see it.
How
nuts.
so?
Like there's a small tiny bit of millennials who are extremely wealthy, and then the most are extremely poor. Like the average. I think this is what I saw. The average net worth of the average net worth of a millennial is $11,000, but the median is $75,000.
Wow.
What is the median exactly? How
The
does-
median is just the middle from the highest to the lowest.
Oh, okay. Not
the
accounting
av-
for how many there
and
are.
and then the average is all of them together divided. So the average is really low, but the median is like 7 times higher. So there are millennials who are super wealthy, well off. I mean, maybe it's a YouTube thing.
YouTubers. It's just YouTubers.
Think about-
it's the only
parents.
millennials making any money are
Well, so-
YouTubers,
so-
and everyone else is just screwed.
Why is it that
Yeah.
so many millennials are commies or socialists?
That's true.
Why?
This is why,
Yeah,
'cause they're
makes
poor.
perfect sense.
But dude,
And then the small
listen,
percentage that are conservative are just the really rich ones who's like,
Yeah,
oh, actually,
okay.
these principles make more sense.
or just
Yeah, exactly.
having a net worth higher than $11,000.
Yeah, that'll do
I
it.
mean,
That'll make you not a communist, is having a net worth more than $11,000.
Well, think about if you inherit something from your parents, the family business,
Yeah.
stake in the family business, you're already worth
makes
more.
sense.
Yes.
So that's something we should probably look up. I wonder if conservatives have a higher net worth than liberal millennials.
I have no doubt.
Well,
I
I know
would be very
that
surprised if it wasn't that way.
There was a video I did on this a while ago for the Foundation for Economic Education, which if you'd like, we started a new YouTube channel, the Foundation for Economic Education. It's called Common Sense Soapbox with Seamus Coughlin. But we did a video a while ago on income inequality, and we did a video on inheritance taxes. And the way it shakes out, inheritance taxes actually make income inequality worse because poor people are more likely to inherit their wealth, or they inherit a larger percentage
interesting.
of their wealth than do the rich.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because why is that?
But it's in a well, so a lot of inherited wealth is like inherited businesses, so like farmland and such. And when you have an inheritance tax, like it really hurts farmers, the people producing our food, who are exactly like
Important.
who you don't want to hurt, but who for whatever reason Marxists just have this tendency to screw over, which is one of the reasons their economies never work. But yeah, it just happens to be the case that poor people are more dependent upon intergenerational wealth than the rich are.
And that's because the rich parent will make their kids wealthy before they die?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what the explanation is. I just know it shakes out such that poor people inherit a larger percentage of their net worth than do the rich.
I think that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the poor parents won't be able to give their kids anything until they
Right.
die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but think about what wealth is, right? So just because, let me stop. If a poor person owns a house worth $50,000 in the middle of nowhere,
Yes.
that means the wealth of the child is the $50,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas somebody who earns their money is going to be worth way more than that if
Right.
they become wealthy. So they're earning their income through industry, but the average person earns their value through having it passed down, generation to generation. So I'm actually, this is why we have commies now. This is why millennials are all for Bernie and whatever, even though he's in favor of the billionaires, or I guess And I look, I got to say, I don't blame all of the millennials. Some of them are more responsible than others.
Yeah.
But think about what happened to this generation. I remember when I was growing up, they said, go to college. And I said, why? And they said, so you can get a good job. And I said, why do I need a job? To make money. Can't I just make money?
Yeah.
Why? So I remember I read this article from an economist who said it's a terrible investment. Imagine going to an investor and saying, for $40,000, after 4 years, you will owe $40,000 plus interest. And they would laugh in your face. What do I have to show for it? Piece of paper. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ultimately was like, I'm not going to do it. But millennials all go to college because their parents are like, you have to. And I've talked to a ton of my friends all throughout the years, and they keep saying, my parents are making me. And I'm like, dude, you're an adult. Like, you're 19 years old. And like, well, I live at home with my parents. They'll kick me out. So kick you. Go get a job. What are you doing?
Well, this is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is intentional, but the way it shakes out the entire student loan crisis, as well as the fact that college education is as expensive as it is, and the entire infrastructure we have built around higher education is a massive handout to the corporate world, because what a college degree allows you to do is determine whether or not somebody would be a suitable worker for your company, so you don't really have to go through as much of a trial period with them. If someone has a degree, they probably are a more promising worker. But that person spent the money. I mean, this is what they are more
So
likely
they
to hire
think,
people
yeah.
with degrees.
Sure,
yeah.
sure, but I
no,
disagree
no,
with
I 100% agree
Yeah.
that logic can be flawed, but for the most part, employers do find knowing whether or not a person is college educated to be very useful in their desire to employ. And so they're almost like these litmus tests that people are paying for on their own to pursue these careers. And then on top of that, when you're massively in debt, you are more dependent upon your employer. You're less likely to strike or go off on your own
Yep.
and
True.
work for another company.
Yeah.
So even though, and it's funny because where did it all come from? Well, it came from the desire to help poor people. We should make sure that everyone can get an education. So what we're going to do is federally subsidize student loans so that anyone can take out a loan and then anyone can get a college education. And look what happened.
Look at the housing
Colleges
crisis.
decided, well, exactly, because according to the National Bureau for Economic Research, pretty straightforward conclusion they came to, but it's always good to actually cite a reputable think tank. They said that colleges respond to federal subsidies by increasing their tuition.
Yeah.
It's really straightforward. And so, yeah, it started as let's help poor people. Let's help them get an education. Education's a great thing. And it resulted in this massive dystopian nightmare where almost everyone in our generation is unbelievably in debt. And who is it helping? It's helping the rich.
I've had a lot of. I used to have a lot of people hit me up about traveling the world and covering news when I was doing it. Now I get people hitting me up about YouTube and stuff. But
Yeah.
so back in the day, when I was at Vice and everything, people would be like, "I want to do what you do, man. Like, oh, I want to travel around." And I usually complain that millennials don't actually want to do the work.
Yes. I've seen your video on this.
So I've talked about how I've had people say, well, I mean, I don't want to spend the money. Like, I have a really nice apartment in Brooklyn. And I'm like, what's more important? Going to, I don't know, Ukraine for this crisis and covering it and being there, or having your nice apartment in Brooklyn? But I like my apartment in Brooklyn. Okay. The other thing, though, is that a lot of people said, I can't have student loan debt. I'm like, can you
Right.
quit your job right now, take your savings and fly? I mean, I could, but how am I going to pay my student loans back?
Yep.
Can you defer them? Like, but then the interest is going to get really bad. And it's like, okay, well then congratulations. You signed your soul away for what?
This is exactly how they get you. They put you in this cycle where you start out where you owe this massive student loan and they keep you in your work forever, just forever. You just sign a contract for the rest of your life to just be like, okay,
They
this is what I'm
cripple you.
doing now. They do, 100%.
I've deferred mine for 20 years. I'm still in deferment. I just never want to pay those back.
You can't do anything about it. You can't bankruptcy.
Keep deferring it.
He's
So-
just banking on the whole system collapsing
Yes.
before he has
He's
to pay his
ready.
debt off.
Yeah.
Let's just
I'm gonna
wait.
make it
Let's
happen.
wait
It's my
until
lowest
the
priority.
election is
Well,
over.
I got to be honest.
The
I got to be honest. His investment is about to pay out in
Yeah,
spades.
man.
Yeah, this is
Just
hilarious.
like
Dude,
November 4th, and I'm good.
I know.
Sweet.
That's the entire, like, we all think we're worried about the election. Ian has his entire financial future riding on it. It's like, if this
My
happens.
plan was
We
to
got
bankrupt.
this.
I graduated in 2001, and I was going to bankrupt my student loan debt.
You can't do that.
But George Bush in like 2003
Right, yeah.
made it illegal.
Cannot
made it
bankrupt your student
impossible.
loans.
Yep.
You got to keep them. Well, yeah, and I guess like they can't repossess a degree, so that's the brilliance of it. You could never, ever, ever
know,
default on those
I was
loans.
in a unique college situation where it was worth it, I think. Even though I've been in debt, I've never really stressed too much about it. It's always been in deferment. I owe more than I borrowed
Yeah, but you
21 years ago. But I had a phenomenal experience in college. I went to become an actor, a journalist, and then I switched to become an actor. I was acting, so I was like kind of paying to be there to learn how to act. I met a phenomenal friend, a beautiful girlfriend, and it launched my confidence. And so it was a hands-on degree. It wasn't like I went to study some business knowledge that I could have learned elsewhere. It was actually like acting. Like I had a job to do. It gave me an opportunity.
100. I don't doubt that good things came out of your college experience, but great things have come out of a lot of people's college experiences, and the system just set up in a way where you ended up getting screwed because of
Dude,
it, right?
the
I mean, it's
debt's
unbelievably expensive.
insane.
My dad paid for his entire college education. This is like the typical boomer story, but my dad paid off his entire college education working at Jewel over the
Yeah.
summer.
But what tuition's way lower back then?
No, that's my. No, I'm not saying like go
Like
work at
proportional.
Jewel, Ian. But I am saying that it was so unbelievably cheap back then that you could actually do that, which
Do
is
people-
that's completely out the window now.
Do people know what Jewel is?
Jewel Oscar, do they not have that? Is this just a
Chicago
Chicago,
thing,
thing? That's
yeah.
right. That's
Jewel,
hilarious.
yeah.
They might actually not know. I went down to the Jewel there and got some old styles.
Hold on. Save-On, Safeway.
Safeway.
What's it?
Ralph's?
I know Safeway.
Dominic's is Dominic's just like
Dominic's
a
a
Chicago?
Chicago thing.
Acme?
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude. Our whole audience says Tim and I are the only people who know any of this.
Dominic
Safeway?
people.
Is that New York?
Safeway.
I know Safeway, yeah.
What's the Ralph's is what they
Yeah,
have?
Ralph's is California.
Yeah,
Los
yeah. What does
Angeles.
New York have?
There's
New York has
Aldi's.
COVID-19 and nothing else.
Yeah,
They're kind of-
exactly.
They've got those
He's
really,
right.
really thin aisles. Those
You know what
little-
It's not good for social distancing.
No, it's
That's
not.
why it got so bad there.
Did
the
you go to
aisles are too
college?
thin. I did go to college.
What was your degree and set up in debt?
Yeah,
ratio?
so no, I was unbelievably privileged. I mean, I did community college for 2 years, but yeah, my parents took care of the rest, and I was not going to go to college, but my plan was just to like keep working and enter the industry and continue to build my business. And my parents said, no, we really want you to go. And I said, that's an unbelievable gift that most people don't get. So I'm going to do that. And I'm forever grateful to them. And I continued working on my business for the 2 years that I went away to the school I went to, which was the Savannah College of Art and Design. And by the time I graduated, my enterprise was making enough money for me to just live off of.
Okay, so here's a question. Do we forgive student loan debt?
That's
just forgive the interest to start off.
100%. Yeah,
Yes.
it's insane to me that you could charge interest on loans that the government is
Seriously.
guaranteeing. Isn't the entire point of interest like, all right, I'm taking a risk by giving you this money. I don't know if I'm going to get it back, so I should have something to show for it. Because the federal government is just giving you the money, or it's guaranteed that you're going to get it back. The idea that you'd be able to charge interest is criminal.
But they want you to be permanently locked in place.
Yeah.
Good little workers who can't leave.
Exactly. No, that's what it is. That's why it works out for them.
So think about what's going on right now and how these urban millennials who went to college and have this massive debt are facing what's going on. Their debt's getting worse. The deferments, the interest rates piling up. They can't find work. And then along comes a Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
I'll give you everything you've ever dreamed of.
I
would've
totally
been that
understand.
guy.
Yeah.
If this happened 20 years ago, if I was 20 years younger and I was 20 right now, I would be one of those people.
But you know what it is?
Bernie Sanders collectivist, let's burn it all down and undo all that. I would have been crazy.
You know why it's young people? Their net worth is $11,000.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't
Their
care.
probably net worth is negative, probably.
Well, actually, millennial net worth under 30 is negative. For
That's
college
horrible.
kids, yeah.
But it makes sense. I mean, part of the difficulty though is like, if there was, and this is part of my problem with the whole idea of like free education, is I think you end up with the exact same problem that we have now. It just exacerbates itself because the whole idea was, again, let's let poor people go to college. We're going to do that by federally guaranteeing these student loans. As soon as the consumer is removed from the pricing structure and you just have the government with these bottomless pockets paying for everything, the price goes up. And then if it's based on loans, people end up with a lot more debt. I think what we need to focus on in this country is improving the 12 years of education that we do give to everybody to ensure that they can be prepared for the workforce, or better yet, just do away with that. I'm actually a big advocate of homeschooling. I think the public school system is completely broken, and I think we talked about this last time, but the idea that people are not prepared for the workforce after 12 years of state-funded education, and the solution is to give them another 4, to me, that's crazy.
Right.
I never
High
learned how to
school
write a
should be
check.
what college is.
Exactly. Yes. Completely agreed.
Like, teach me how to start a business. Teach me how to vote. They didn't teach me any of this stuff in high school.
Yeah.
Teach me how to write a check. I didn't learn how to write a check until college.
I know what it is.
What is it?
The aliens domesticating.
Alex.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I think you're right.
The aliens are conditioning us to be good workers.
That's
for
also
the-
true.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
100%. I
The
agree.
aliens are going to work for us. They're going to build more pyramids. That's what they did the last
This
time.
is the plan. Yeah.
We
That
built the
makes
pyramid.
sense.
They made us. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Isn't that
okay.
hilarious? Why would they do that? That'd be such a rude thing for aliens to do. Instead of like giving
like,
us
come
technology,
down.
they're going to like build some stone triangles for us.
Well, what if they need gold?
But what if they need
that's
it?
true. For
Yeah.
they
their
just have
fuel?
us do
Did
it.
we talk about this? Gold is their fuel. and
This is
that's
like
why
this is
they're-
like a really old conspiracy theory that's been on the internet for a long time. That they need gold to like replenish their atmosphere or something. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah. Did you ever see those lights?
Neil deGrasse Tyson said that, I think.
You know when they see
Well,
like
Neil deGrasse
orbs?
Tyson said a
totally
meteor
kidding.
is going to crash into Earth the day on November 2nd. So,
Oh,
here's
Neil.
hoping.
Man,
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
yeah.
So is there actually a meteor coming close or something?
Yeah, there is,
But I think
yeah.
it's really small. I think it's like 6 feet. Like,
So-
it's like super tiny.
Can I loop it back a little bit?
Yeah,
Because I
please.
know this is something we've talked about a little bit. This is something that I'm very compassionate with millennials on, because it makes a big difference to me that millennials, I would like them to be happy and balanced and everything. And I think that part of the reason that they're having so much problem is that they have been sold a false bill of goods. I think
Yep.
they've been told that they can go to college and get whatever job they want, and it's not true. It's
Yeah.
nonsense. It's a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, you know what I think one of the biggest problems we have as a society? First, I mean, it starts young. What do American kids do from the ages of 0 to 5 years old?
Watch Sesame Street.
Nothing.
Yeah, I do nothing.
Sit around,
Nothing.
watch TV.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the
Stare
household.
at an iPad.
Well, for sure, but on
Yeah.
average, like a lot of kids are doing nothing, especially in cities.
Well, what
I think there are a lot of parents, who do just sit their kids in front of the TV.
or the
That's-
or
that's
the
probably true.
tablet or whatever.
well, what
Yeah.
should
I would-
you do?
I was being homeschooled.
I was too.
That's good.
Yeah,
Me
from
too.
a very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
early
Before,
age.
before I, yeah, no, that's true. Before I went off to school, my mom did teach me to read.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really bad at it. So no, I'm
Well,
kidding.
so
I'm
listen,
kidding.
Safety
No, well, that's the
Patrol,
thing
that was
too. Like
fun.
my mom taught me and all of my siblings to read before we ever went off to school, and we were just ahead of the other kids in our class.
Exactly.
Because guess what? No one's ever going to be able to teach your kid as well as you can.
Exactly. Bingo.
I entered school knowing, like, I'm in kindergarten, I knew multiplication and division and all this math that was like grades above everybody else. I had my vocabulary was several years higher than the rest of the kids.
Did you skip grades?
No.
I bet if you did, you wouldn't have dropped out. You
Why?
just would have finished because you just would have finished
No,
when you
it
were
was
12 or
trash.
13.
I was 14. I went to high school, and they were like, "Okay, now open the book because you're all morons and read the passage
you
about
could
how
have
you're all
graduated high
morons."
school by the time you were 14.
I think you could.
I probably
what I'm
could have
saying.
just skipped it.
Yeah.
I
You
probably could have
yeah.
just. It was
you
a waste
would
of
have
time.
been like a 10-year-old in high school, probably.
So what?
It's all stupid.
What
It's a
we
waste
did
of
in
time.
Colorado
It
is
sure
that we had
was.
people go straight into college in high school. You would go into high school and come out with a college degree.
Oh
which I
yeah,
thought was
yeah, yeah.
wonderful.
We
That was
had
really neat.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
like
it's
you would
neat,
spend a
right?
certain
Or
amount
you
of
do
time.
like AP classes? Is that kind of what you're
Kinda
talking
like
about?
that.
But so
kind of.
anyway, look,
I didn't
here's
do any of those.
here's the point I'm getting to.
It's very dumb.
Not only was I homeschooled before I was 5 years old, I was like as early as I could possibly communicate. My mom was teaching me, my siblings. My family started a business, and I worked for the family business when I was like 9 years old. So my family started my mom started a cafe, and so I was helping prepare drinks. She was showing me like management and stuff. So I'm like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm learning from the real world. I'm sitting next to adults as they complain about politics, and I was immersed in all of it. So by the time I was 17, and they're like, "It's time for college," I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Give
no, I
me,
get it.
give me. But so what happens now is, you've got 18-year-old kids, and they're kids. They're not adults. They're not 18-year-old men, 18-year-old women. They're 18-year-old kids, and they're like, "Here, sign this paper where you can never have this debt cleared through bankruptcy or anything. It's attached to you forever.
Freaking
The
insane.
interest rates are psychotic, and you have no idea how this works because we've never taught you. Sign it.
Yeah,
sign it.
they don't teach compound interest either.
Yeah, why
Right.
not?
That's also
public.
Seriously, why not? It makes perfect sense.
No, it's true. It's
So-
true.
so-
it's crazy. And
so-
there are
so-
workarounds.
But we forgive the interest. Is that what we're saying?
I would say forgive the interest.
You're a
tricky.
commie.
If there was, I am a
You
commie.
admit.
Well, no, you're right. You got me. I'm a communist. Well, no, I
That's true.
think that it's insane. I think it's insane for corporations to be able to profit off of public money.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who believes in a free market, I think that's just like antithetical to my principles in general. But even so, I believe in a free market, but I'm okay. I believe it's all right to have some exceptions here and there. I'm not completely dogmatic on it. When it comes to student loan forgiveness in general, I'm not sure. I think if we could work it out in a way where, my fear is if we did it, we would push the problem off further into the future and perpetuate the same system of college becoming more and more expensive. And then people who didn't go to college because they wanted to save the money are going to end up with the tax burden of forgiving those debts for people who did go to college. And so it's not, if it was just like we could waive away all of the debt, I would say absolutely yes. And I certainly believe that we should prevent these banks from being able to collect any more interest on them. But I don't know
Didn't
if
Trump
that's-
suspend the interest rates during COVID?
Yeah, till
Yeah.
And
the end
and
of
I was
December.
saying
Yes.
that earlier in the year, and then Trump did it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
once
I saw that,
once
yeah.
again, how is the Republicans are doing the things that help the poor in these
Yeah.
situations? You know what I mean?
A couple of things. One, I fully agree with you guys about homeschooling from 0 to 5, teaching kids mathematics, multiplication
everything,
and
though.
division. Do it because kids can learn math at the age of 3. That's where we're at. Humanity is a genius. We have the internet. You can do it.
Cool
Secondly,
stuff, yeah.
do you agree with defaulting on the debt to the Federal Reserve?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I've heard a little bit, and the Federal Reserve has been a topic of interest for me for a while. But when it comes to defaulting on the loan to them,
Wouldn't that
I need
crash
to
the
give that
global
more thought.
economy?
Not if we default on
Well,
the
then
interest.
if yes, then I'm in favor of it. No.
Exactly. I'm in. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get crazy, kids. Yeah, I'm not sure.
If we defaulted on the interest only is what I'm talking about.
What would that do?
Save our country
It
like
would be
$20
rad.
trillion dollars.
It'd be super cool.
But what is? I
Then we
look.
could put that money into other things.
Yeah, I guess I think it's a purposefully complicated system so that no one really has any idea, and then everyone spends their time arguing about one section of it over here, and then no one really knows. But I can tell you, the system as we have it set up right now, it's very difficult for people to save unless you go into a market or make some kind of investment account or whatever.
Yeah.
But now that interest rates are in the gutter because of COVID, it's like, what do? You just got to spend money and build something. So ultimately, the best thing you can do, start a business, make money for yourself. The problem is, going back to what I was saying before, we have a bunch of young people. They spend, listen, let me ask you a question. What were you doing when you were 13 years old?
When I was 13 years old, I was actually starting to teach myself to animate, and I was also buying broken computers and fixing them so I could resell them.
And now
Oh,
here you
cool.
are, you have a show, you animate, you've got a couple hundred, how many
Perfect.
subscribers do you have?
460,000.
Boom. Very successful YouTube
465.
channel.
Yeah, thank you. Very blessed.
So when I was 13, I was playing music, I was skateboarding, I was doing Flash animation, I was doing Flash
Yeah, me too.
websites,
Yeah.
video games, I was working on all this stuff, and generally hanging out with people and learning how the computers worked and all this stuff. A bunch of other people I know who ended up going to college, getting a degree they didn't need because they didn't know what they were doing, with massive debt. I said, "What were you doing when you were 13?" They were like, "Nothing, riding bikes." That's it. They would go out and play with their friends. They would go to school and do the bare minimum. And so we have young people who are being raised by a system that does not teach them to do anything. And now we have a generation of millennials who can't do anything.
Yeah.
And their net worth is really low, and they're in massive debt, and they can't find jobs. Then COVID hits, and now you got communism.
Yeah. No.
The only
totally.
way out is if I don't got stuff and you do, I get your stuff.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I used to tell my parents, they were like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be an actor." And then they said, "Well, then you should start acting."
I want to
Yeah,
be a
totally.
communist and take
They said
people's
start
stuff.
acting like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I auditioned for a play when I was 16. I was a little later to the
Yeah.
table. I was 16 when I started.
It's all good.
Before that, I was working at a job playing magic cards. But I had my own job since I was 12.
Yeah.
Walking dogs.
I remember in high school working this really lame job I had. It was a friend of ours. I don't want to say the name of the company because they will get hashtag canceled for hiring me in high school. But it was literally like an ushering / security business where you would just stand there for between like a 12 and 16 hour shift and just tell people no, like either let me see your ticket or no, you can't use that door. And then people would like yell at you for things that were clearly not your fault, which happens to low level workers constantly.
Yep.
Like people, this is the thing, man. People will go to McDonald's and think that the kid behind the counter is stupid, but like I guarantee you he thinks you're a moron because he gets asked such dumb questions by all the customers all day.
You know, dude, we were just I was just at a fast food
Thinking about
place.
the same thing.
We were just at a fast food place. It was a Nathan's Hot Dogs.
What?
The guy was such
And
a jerk.
some guy walked up and he started yelling at the workers there.
It's
like
horrible.
He's like, "Look at this," and he opens the hot dog thing, and they were just like, "Well done." I don't want to say they were burned. He was like, "Look at those hot dogs and look at this. Why would you give me this?" And then she's like, I don't know.
She's
And he's
like, because
give
I don't
me
like
those.
you.
Yeah.
Give me
I
those.
did it. It was personal.
I
But the
know, I
crazy
really
thing is,
don't.
I'm like, dude, if you went up and you were like, hey, I'm sorry to bug you, but like these hot dogs kind of suck. Can I get the good
They're
ones?
giving you good ones.
She might be like, I don't care. It's not my money. Like, you got it. You don't got to be mean. Not
Yeah,
only that,
yeah.
like, she might hook it up. She might be like, dude, I'm not the manager here. Let me give you the best ones possible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
exactly.
about that.
It doesn't
It's
have
like,
to
why
be
be
yours,
mean
them.
to people?
I don't know. Is
That's
this
the thing,
like
people
it feels
just-
good or something.
Well, people just have a tendency of taking their anger out on whoever they can get away with taking their anger out on. It's not
true.
necessarily
So what-
personal. It's horrible, though. I agree.
So here's the other thing. So there was an article recently. Recently, I mean, it's like the other day. It's in the Atlantic, saying that voting for Joe Biden is the right thing to do if you are worried about the woke left
Yeah,
or the
what?
liberal left.
I saw
What a
that go
great
by.
plan. Yeah.
Like, that's like blackmail. Like, don't, if you're afraid of getting your throat cut, vote for the guy that's threatening you with the
Exactly.
knife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
wait, hold on.
That's kind of
That's what
brilliant.
they say.
Yeah.
They're like, if someone tries taking your stuff, just give it to them. Just give up.
Jeez,
That's what they
dude.
tell you to do.
That's
No.
So
isn't that letting the terrorists win? Isn't that like the whole
Yes.
thing we've
Yes.
talked about for
Well,
20
so-
years?
so-
Uh-huh.
so
Can't let
here's the thing, right?
terrorists win.
They're saying that Donald Trump fans the flames of the illiberal left or whatever, and I'm like, Joe Biden's negotiating with them. I'd rather have the guy
Yeah.
fighting against them. But anyway, I digress. So there was another article by Helen Pluckrose that made a similar argument, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but basically when I responded with, why would I vote for the guy? Like, it would just justify their tactics, the violence and the extremism. And her response was, I wouldn't vote for Antifa either. I felt like, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but to me, that she was arguing Joe Biden is not Antifa. Okay, well, of course, Joe Biden isn't.
Technically.
Of course, Joe Biden is not a socialist. He's just the guy on bent knee begging them for their votes because he
Yeah.
doesn't have a coalition to defeat Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So he's already done the Bernie Sanders pact. He's already negotiating with them. He won't call them out. But more importantly, in New York, just the other day, a bunch of people were throwing eggs and rocks at Trump supporters in their cars.
Yep.
And apparently, I think it was a woman, ran up to an SUV and pepper sprayed everyone, including the children.
Dude.
What a good.
That's not Antifa. Oh, okay, listen,
That's-
there's not
yeah.
it was just some Brooklyn leftist.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people saying Trump is bad. I'm not gonna give them what they want. They pepper sprayed kids because a guy had a Trump flag. So I'm not voting for this guy. You know what I mean?
You remember when John Oliver said Orange Man bad and then pepper sprayed his audience? It's
I don't.
horrible.
Wait, he did?
No, I
I'm
don't
kidding.
remember that.
No,
I
you-
don't remember that,
Well,
man.
I should be less dry. It was,
yeah, no,
Well,
I don't remember
it-
that one.
Not
I was just thinking of
literally
like a
pepper
very.
spraying.
I was thinking of like a very establishment guy. But
Well,
So here's
yeah.
why I bring this up. You get all of these young people who have been pushed into this grinder.
Yeah.
They have massive debt. They can't pay it off. The interest is piling up. COVID happens, and now they go insane. And so I'm in favor of forgiving that interest. But these people have snapped. Now they're throwing eggs at people, pepper spraying kids. Not all of them, not every single one. But how often do you hear about these stories where a Trump supporter gets attacked? There's like several thousand stories like this over the past 4 years where they're getting harassed, attacked, threatened in the street. These people have snapped. And what it is, many of them need a symbol of what they hate to attack,
Yeah, that's
to
right.
damage, right?
That's right.
Why did the far leftists throw a brick through the Starbucks window, right? Because Starbucks is a massive corporation that symbolizes their hatred and their anger.
Yeah.
And you oppress me. So they throw a brick through the window. It does nothing. It does nothing to help their cause. It hurts their cause, but it feels good.
yeah.
Now people have replaced that symbol of the big corporations with Trump. So now they see a Trump supporter and they're like, you. And they're taking all of that anger and they're directing it towards random people who are waving flags. That's
Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. And I'm sympathetic to a lot of the struggles that people discuss younger people going through right now. I've said this in the past. I mean, I'm unbelievably blessed. I came from a 2-parent home. I was raised with like really solid Catholic values. I was just set up in a lot of the best possible ways to be set up. So I absolutely don't look down on anybody because their circumstances are harder. I just think that the solutions being proposed by the left are horrible. And I think they're
Yes.
taking advantage of people who are going through extremely difficult times. And I would also say this, there was a time when like, instead of telling people to check their privilege, we'd tell them to like count their blessings
Yeah,
because
man.
we wanted people to be grateful instead of feeling guilty. And that's more or less where I'm at. Like, I got a lot of great things out of life. I've been tremendously blessed. I don't feel guilty about that. I feel grateful for that. I thank God every day for the life that I've gotten because I've gotten so much that I don't deserve. But to say that the solution to that is to like bend over and have this white guilt and tell people, take whatever you want from me, implement whatever system makes you happier that you think in the moment might be best for this country, despite all of the evidence saying it will never work, is completely insane. But that's exactly what they want. That's exactly why they want people to feel guilt.
This is the interesting thing about wealth inequality arguments and Andrew Yang saying like abolish poverty or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what his hat said, but something to that effect. Because we are. actively abolishing poverty. Capitalism is doing that. Like
Yeah.
the curve is like going way down. Like poor people in this country are poor, but many of them have air conditioning.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So about 99% of the world population subsists off of less than $30,000 per year, or makes less than $30,000 per year. So if you make 30 grand a year or more, you are in the top 1% of the global
Oh,
economy.
totally, yeah.
And also, global poverty has been decreasing for decades, unfortunately, until these lockdowns, which shut down our production chain. Now there are more people, for the first time in decades, or I believe 2 decades, there are more people at risk for starvation this year than there were last year. And it's a massive swath. So, yeah, things are going in the opposite direction. But that also shows you, and that can help inform us on people making claims like, oh, how could you put economics above human life? Anytime you
Because
want
they
to
don't know
discuss,
what economics means.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know what economics means. They think it's just some abstraction that Wall
They
Street
think it means
has
you make
convinced us
money.
in believing it. Yes, exactly. But all economics is about is like promoting human well-being and flourishing. And when you shut down the entire economy, guess what happens? People starve to death. And it's hilarious because the left was arguing for so long that if you even want to cut a penny of welfare spending, then poor people are just going to die, because when people don't have money, they don't have access to resources, and when they don't have access to resources, they die. But we can shut down the entire global economy for 3 months and no one's going to die because of that. We're actually going to save lives.
So
That's insane.
Here's the interesting thing about wealth inequality. I always hear they're like, Jeff Bezos is worth $100 and whatever billion, and there are people sleeping in the streets. That's a huge problem for our country. And those are two completely separate things that are completely unrelated. If you took away Jeff Bezos' money, you're not going to get people not living on the streets. These people fundamentally don't understand how wealth works or how homelessness works.
No.
They just think. I love it when people say things like, think about how many empty homes we have. We could put homeless people in them. And it's like, you can't just do that. People who say that clearly have never owned a home, understanding how much work goes in it. What happens if you put a homeless guy in a house and then the plumbing breaks or the house burns down because of faulty wiring and the dude dies?
And what happens to the real estate market and all the people who actually have a mortgage in a home that they spend all this money on? What happens to like their property value of their home? And then what happens to people who make their business or make their money renting? I mean, you would actually have to radically restructure the entire economy to do something like that. It's not just a question of putting homeless people in homes. That said, there are solutions. Like there are ways on the table and things that we can discuss to get homeless people housing 100%.
That's not the issue, though.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The issue is homelessness is driven mostly by mental health.
Exactly.
So for these people to come out and say, people shouldn't be homeless, we should tax the wealthy, it's not right. It's like, those are two entirely different universes. You know what one of my favorite sayings is from people?
What?
Feed the homeless.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
We want to go out and feed the homeless. I'm like, bro,
Why?
they're not foodless.
Yeah.
They're homeless.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
And
Just because they don't live anywhere doesn't mean they're hungry. You want to feed the hungry. That's what you want to do. But there's like these weird things, and these people, they have good intentions, and I respect it. But I actually worked as a director at a homeless shelter. I actually worked for many nonprofits. And the problem is mental health and choices people make. No amount of money, because some of the shelters were empty. Why? Homeless people didn't want to be in them. They wanted to be
do drugs.
Well,
in
and
the
a lot of well,
Maybe-
here's the thing.
maybe
it's a big part of it.
A lot of shelters are empty now because of COVID. You talk to homeless people, they will tell you like, I can't get anywhere to stay right now because the shelters in my city are closed down because of COVID-19. Another thing that's interesting is, and I mean, it's good to feed homeless people. I firmly believe that. But a lot of it is like, again, this problem of them not having housing as opposed to not having food. Though again, I believe we should feed them. That said, so many homeless people have said to me, don't mess with drugs, don't mess with alcohol. Which is an interesting thing to say. Like they'll start sort of explaining some of the things that ruin their lives and encouraging you not to do it. Now, I'm not saying because they ruin their lives in these ways that we just let them hang there. Absolutely not. But it's a horrible tragedy, and a big part of it was the deinstitutionalization movement that we had in the 1970s.
Yeah.
So even without even adjusting for changes in our population size, there are less people in mental health facilities today than there were before the 70s, which is completely insane. And I think that's part of why we're seeing more massacres. I think it's part of, mental illness has become a much more serious issue in this country because we don't take it as seriously as we used to.
Yes.
And I think that's also why homelessness is such a problem, because there are people who should be in the hospital. They should be in a mental health facility, but they're not. They're out on the streets instead.
So going back to the wealth inequality thing where you have Jeff Bezos with all this money, I'll tell you what the real problem is with the billionaires. It's what Bernie Sanders used to say, their influence over our political structures
100%.
for self-interest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the best example is Joe Biden being funded by billionaires in Wall Street substantially more. Park
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're calling it that.
Well,
And
yeah.
the
Wall
Congress
Street
people-
colloquially.
The Congress people getting bribed with like campaign
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
contributions
whoa,
and
whoa.
dinners and lunches and
Do
stuff.
your air quotes when you say bribed.
Bribed.
There we go.
Lobbied. We'll call
Right,
it. No,
right,
I don't.
right.
I don't need quotes for that. They're
Fancy
getting
steak
lobbied.
dinners
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
promises of once you leave, we're going to hire
Yeah,
you.
come
wink,
on.
wink.
Vote yes on this bill and
Or if you're, say, like in a high position of power and you want to make money off your office, so you just have your kids sign the paperwork.
100%. But that's not what happened, right?
Right,
No,
right.
yeah,
That's
of course.
just it's all fake news,
That's
Russian
just strange
disinformation.
fake news. There's no quid pro quo.
So here's
Don't
my
know.
issue, right?
Don't know.
A lot of people like to complain about George Soros, and I'm like, George Soros is funding this and funding that, and the protesters, and it's like, okay, well, first, let's break it down. Who's he funding? He's funding the Open Society Foundation, I believe, and then they provide grants to a bunch of different leftist organizations. So, short answer, yes, but it's a bit more than that. He gives out money and then they send it out in these areas.
and then he turns his back and closes his eyes.
Well, I mean, he's just some bumbly old dude who's got a ton of money and he's putting it into leftist programs. But the thing is, I'm like, can you name the other billionaires who are doing literally the same thing?
yeah.
So this is why I'm like, I get it, man. You're mad about it. When you say Soros, what you're saying is billionaires. Give me the Bernie Sanders line, okay? The billionaires. Because you've got the Mercers, you had the Koch brothers. I don't know how active the Koch brothers are now, though, because I think they were doing some event with like some leftists. You've got who's another? Oh, the Mackenzie Bezos put
Yeah.
what $2 billion into
The Gates
intersectional.
Foundation.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
man.
all
Always
of them.
funding
How about the
abortion all
Waltons?
over the
What are the
world. The
Waltons
Gates
doing?
Foundation always.
Oh yeah, the Waltons. I don't care if they're left or right. I really don't. Okay, if they have more power over what we say in our own country, it's a serious problem because then when all of these politicians have to worry about raising money for re-election, then they're going to go and figure out a way to get massive cash from the rich people because it's easier. It is easier to
Yeah.
convince a billionaire to give you $1 million than 1 million people to give you $1
yeah.
each.
So the other night I was talking to Tim about when we had Ryan on the show.
Ryan Long?
No. What was who do we have?
His name's
last week?
Ryan Hartwig.
Yeah, Hartwig.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ryan Hartwig,
Yeah.
Facebook whistleblower.
And I was talking about like a more making more of a direct democracy, but really it was more of a direct republic in that if you have your Congress people A, B, C, D, and E, and they're all voting yay or nay on a bill, rather than that, they can all be bribed, lobbied. Have their constituents vote, 700,000 people vote, and then for A, the majority will be yay or nay. And then for B, their constituents vote, the majority would be yay or nay. And so instead of these billionaires being able to bribe A, B, C, and D, they've got to have to target the 700,000 people.
So it's like
But that's
you
easy to
can't
do,
bribe
though.
those
But
people.
yeah, you totally can, though. You can totally bribe voters with the public treasury. Say,
Right.
like, we're going to give
public
you
treasury, but
yeah,
not private
all you have
money.
to. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, either way, they're being
It's all
bribed.
money
All you have
off-
to
yeah.
do
I'm
is
just trying to
say
think
that
of
we're going to get the government.
I'm trying to think
all
of
you
how to
have
get money
do-
out of politics. I don't think you
It's
can.
not
I think
possible.
you got
It's
to.
literally
you
not
can't.
possible.
You just got to get the
But
votes out of those
money
single
is
person's
politics.
hands.
Money is
Right,
politics. Like
listen.
you cannot get it.
Listen,
exactly
listen,
So
listen.
the whole idea of
listen.
representatives is kind of funky in that system.
Well,
guys.
with digital technology now,
I'm trying to keep up with you guys. You're all over it.
with digital technology right now, the instant transfer of information and money, yeah, it's becoming really, really difficult. There's no billionaire who says, here's a check for $1 million, Trump. What he does is he says, I like this guy, Trump, have a nice day. Write the check for $1 million to the Trump super PAC that is no way
Yeah.
connected to Donald Trump, and then runs the commercials to get him elected into office. That's basically how it happens. So there's a limit on how much an individual can give to a candidate. I am not a fan of unrestricted super PAC mass spending. I've never been. And I've had people argue about it saying, like, it's your money, you can spend it how you want. And I'm like, I don't like the idea of Mackenzie Bezos or George Soros or the Mercers or the Kochs or anybody saying, I'm going to dedicate, or Mike Bloomberg put like $500 million, some ridiculous number, into the primaries to just like boot
Yeah.
out Bernie and do whatever.
And he couldn't.
That was
he spent
right.
all that money just getting himself on stage. He just got roasted. It was great.
Didn't work. I love that.
Right,
I'm
right.
Mayor Bloomberg, and then
So-
he was up there, and everyone's just scorching him the entire time.
I love it.
But I will
so
I will
much.
tell you what I enjoyed about it is, he was making it rain on YouTube. You know, all those Biden ads.
We did, so
I'm
we
like,
did a video
"Woo."
about that a while ago. You guys should check this one out. Another shameless plug. We did
Yes, shameless.
Bloomberg for America, and it was just based on like it felt like, and I almost forgot about this till you mentioned it, but for like a solid week or two, everywhere you turned,
Yeah.
there was a Mike
It was so
Bloomberg ad.
great.
And it was this weird kind of
YouTube ad revenue spiking.
Exactly. It was this very strange moment where it was something that a totalitarian dictator would admire.
Totally.
Kim Jong-un wishes his face was plastered as many places as as Bloomberg's was for that 1 week.
But it only works if you have a face worth looking at.
You don't. He did
Michael
not.
Bloomberg was just, a
I think he's
really
handsome.
annoying guy.
He's all right. He's cute.
I
Vote
think he's
for
very
me.
handsome.
And then
Cute
Tom
guy.
Steyer too, just dumping money. So listen, my point is,
Sure.
I remember it was almost 10 years ago. I was at CPAC, I think, and it was like when was the Citizens United ruling? That was like 10, 12 years ago, was it or something?
I don't know.
I don't remember exactly when it was, but I was talking to conservatives, and they were like, if you have money and you want to spend it how you see fit, you should be allowed to do it if that supports a candidate. And I'm like, yeah, but you're creating a loophole for the ultra wealthy people to guarantee, essentially guarantee, because Trump won with half the cash of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
But
isn't
it's
that the first time that's happened too? Hasn't campaign spending been like the number one predictor of who's going to get elected until
whoever
Trump?
spends most.
Yeah.
Yep, and then Trump. So maybe we'll see something again. But I don't want these people to be like. Listen, here's what people don't understand about politics anyway. Even with campaign limits on how much I or anyone else could donate, the more money you have, you can just donate to 100 people.
Yes.
So imagine you're like, the average person says, I can afford to give $20 to my candidate. And then the average rich person says, I'm legally obligated not to spend more than $2,800. So here's what I'll do. I'll give $2,800 to every single Democrat. That's just like blanketing the whole thing. Or more importantly, they'll just be like, I'll just make the commercial myself.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh.
You can give people's campaign money in that way. And this is what Ben Shapiro said. Okay, that's when he was debating Cenk Uygur. But he makes this point. What really is the difference between you donating X amount of $1 million to Bernie Sanders versus you dedicating your entire YouTube channel to promoting his campaign
Good point.
throughout the entirety of the primaries? Why is one okay and the
That's
other
the-
isn't? Like
that's-
either way,
yep.
you're just using your power and influence to change the political system in some way, or
And therein
influence it.
lies-
And that's something we cannot stop. Like you can't
Right.
change that. That
Right,
will
right, I
always
agree.
be the case.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but the fact that being rich gives you power and influence is not some quirk of capitalism or the American system. This is just always the case.
I
Powerful
agree.
people are powerful.
I agree. And I think that Michael Bloomberg gave me a lot of hope because I was like, he's not making it big.
Yes.
I really thought
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
would get in there and
Didn't
smash
work.
it up. I'm like, nobody liked this guy. Everyone wanted
Well-
him to go away. What are we talking about now, Tim?
Thinking in that line of thinking,
Let's do
with Republicans are not raising nearly as much as Democrats. The congressional Democrats have been raising tons of money, and Donald Trump has raised a lot less.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is getting all of that sweet green from Wall Street and Park Street and the billionaires. It's actually looking really good in the battleground. Check this out.
That's cool.
2020 general election early and absentee vote report. This is from Target Smart. And right now, for battleground states, Republican turnout is 2.4% higher than Democrats.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
here's the important data. In 2018, in these same states, there were at this time there was 4.5 million Republican votes, 3.7 million Democrat votes. Now there's 8.6 million Democrat votes to 9 million Republican votes and 1.8 million unaffiliated for a total of 19 million.
Wow.
10 million more than in 2018 and around 10 million more in 2016. The first thing I'll say is high voter turnout in early voting does not mean more voting.
Right.
A lot of people keep saying like, wow, look how many people voted early. That means it must be really big because election day. No. That means people already voted. Early voting means the one person voted. So we're probably going to see massive voter turnout for sure on the 3rd.
Yeah.
But take a look at this. If in battleground states, on average, Republicans are winning, and they are saying, Nate Silver says, it's 538, that Republicans are going to be heavily favored for in-person day of voting, then Republicans are dominating. So Democrats were expected to have a seriously large advantage with early mail-in voting, absentee, and early voting in person. And in many states, they have it. Like Philadelphia is really bad. It's like apocalyptic for Republicans. We'll see how this plays out. But then there's the voter registration, thing that Republicans have. But in battleground Senate, they're saying, several people think that the Republicans are going to lose. At least on average, it's looking really good. Now, the interesting thing is for battleground president, Republicans are down only, 2 points, 2% to Democrats. They were up last election in 2018, and now they're down about 600 or so thousand votes in 2020. Democrats are being encouraged to vote early in huge numbers. So they should have an advantage because they're going to be doing absentee as well. They're not seeing that huge advantage. Nate Silver said something like it was supposed to be D plus 17 for mail-in voting. They're up 2 points. Early voting is a really bad thing to base predictions off of because a lot of counties haven't opened yet. Like New York is just now opening. But things are starting to look good for Donald Trump in a lot of ways. And this is the thing, the media has created this narrative space where I can actually say this. Donald Trump, it's looking really good for him, even though he's losing by double digits in the polling. Why? Because he's supposed to be down, like 9 points on average from Joe Biden, and we're seeing 2%.
That is really fascinating.
Does that mean he's going to win? I don't know.
No. And we're not even sure what's explaining that, but it's definitely not what I expected. That's
Right.
for sure.
It's all the Republicans from 2016 plus a bunch of new people that used to be Democrat that switched.
Johnny Rotten.
Like none of those Republicans, almost none, have turned Democrat. I doubt. I would be very, very surprised to find out. I'd like to find out the numbers.
Do you see that viral story of the woman like doing the cards and she slowly pulls them?
Yes.
And she's like, my dad was on his deathbed and we demanded he vote for
Dude,
Biden. He
that
said,
made
okay.
me so mad.
that was really
Like,
horrible.
that's brutal.
You're up
But-
against an
That's
incumbent
horrible.
president. Incumbents rarely lose.
Right.
That's also true. Yeah. Presidents they'll almost always get two terms.
Dude. But think about it. You know, so Michael Tracy tweeted this thing out earlier. It was this guy in 2016 saying, in order for Trump to win at this point, every major national poll would have to be wrong.
Yeah.
And he's like,
When did that happen?
Is it possible? Like, would I bet on it? No. I was like, is it possible? Yes. Would I bet on it? No. I'm not an idiot. And then every single poll, it's not so much that they were wrong. It's that this far out they were wrong, and they started to shift. There was a lot of October surprises really hurt Hillary, and then there were they missed 1 or 2 points of Trump's voters. For Trump to win right now, every single pollster would go out of business.
Well, how
Every
do you
single
explain
one.
it
I don't know
before?
because they didn't go out of business last time.
Yeah, but last time they were off by a point or two, and it was
okay.
like it was within the margin of error, and our forecasts were wrong.
Okay.
So they were like the Real Clear Politics shows all of these different polls, and they're like Hillary Clinton +3, she was +2.
Didn't Frank Luntz say just the other day? He's like, if we get this all wrong, we all deserve to go
Yeah.
out of business.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I
Let's
think
screenshot that. Let's
Yes,
archive
I'll
that.
screen cap
No,
that
no.
for
He
sure.
said people like me will have to find a new
Oh,
profession.
okay.
Right.
All right.
I think the point he was making though is we're not wrong.
So
I think he might.
can you explain that how polls are actually models?
That was an interesting conversation earlier.
So yeah, people don't know this. Like polls aren't just like they call random people. They're all weighted. Weighted. That means we have to guarantee X amount of Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliated to match the national average. We have to match demographics. So we have a X number of 18 to 29-year-olds, X number of 80 to 29-year-old Latinos. Then we have to figure out how demographics have changed and model based on that. People don't realize polls are not just, we called 1,000 random people, and here's what they said. Because if you called 1,000 people in New York, they're going to be like Biden. You're going to be like 100% for Biden. Woo! Your poll would be ridiculously wrong.
Yeah.
So when you've got a poll that says D +3, that's just based on the 2016 model?
So basically, depending on the poll you're looking
Plus
at.
the didn't you mention it's
But-
like the demographics that have entered that area, or the population growth they've seen with certain
They try-
groups that
well,
tend to vote in a specific way.
So first, it depends on the model.
Yeah.
All these different organizations have different modeling. They're not straight polls. Like if you went outside and walked to a random person and said, which do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla? You'd be like, I asked 100 people, here's what I got. They have to model all the different places, all the different political affiliations, different demographics, and try and get representative samples. What ends up happening is a lot of these polls are sampling Democrats based on the projected Democrat turnout because of what we saw in 2016 and 2018. So in 2018, we saw X many Democrats. Therefore, we're going to ask for every 100 people, we want 36 to be Democrats, we want 29 to be Republican, and then the rest to be third party or unaffiliated. Then they say, based off of that, here's what we saw. The issue is that Gallup does party affiliation tracking, which fluctuates. Right now, in September, the September 14th tracking for party affiliation for Gallup was D +5. It fluctuates wildly. And as of the latest, it's R +1. So if right now polling is being based off of party affiliation numbers from last week, last month, or whatever, the party affiliations fluctuate dramatically. Do the polls have 27% Democrat? No, they're like 35. So they're oversampling Democrats. They try to account for this. The polls say like our margin of error is this. We believe we have a mean bias in this direction for this reason. But what people need to understand about the polls is that I respect the experts. I do. I'm not a pollster. But when they come out with a poll and they say, we believe we have a bias in this direction and a margin of error in, of this size for these reasons, they're telling you they don't know. They're just giving us professional expert opinions on what they think is going to happen based on what they've collected. What ends up happening then is you've now got Rasmussen. which is like favorable to Trump very often. Trafalgar Group says Trump's going to win. Trafalgar Group straight up came out and they were like, Trump's going to win re-election. Hands down. You've got the Democracy Institute saying Trump is up by 1 point. But then when you look at all these other polls, they're like, Biden's up 16. Then what ends up happening is news outlets that want to favor their candidate will highlight only that poll. In a new CBS News poll, Joe Biden is leading Trump by 12 points. And then people say the polls are wrong. Well, sure, if we go off Trafalgar and Rasmussen and Democracy Institute, Trump's winning. So we don't know what's going to happen. And that's why
it's a fair point.
The polls are wrong simply because all of the polls disagree with each other. My favorite thing about polling is that when you look at the Real Clear Politics average, it's like Trump -2, Trump -12, Trump -4, Trump -20. And I'm like, what is this?
Okay.
Like none of these things, like they're all random gibber. Blah, blah, blah.
What is the Real Politics average?
The Real Clear Politics average?
Yeah, what is that?
They take a bunch of different polls from like the past several weeks and then average out the total approval.
they're pretty
or-
good.
2 week ago one, the 7 days ago
It's
one.
the best way to do it in my opinion because they'll put Rasmussen up against say like YouGov or CBS or something. So you'll see Rasmussen typically leaning in favor of Trump, but Rasmussen was right in their national polling predictions for 2016.
Wow.
They said Hillary Clinton was going to win by 2 points or whatever she did. Everyone else was wrong by another point or so. So when Rasmussen right now is saying that Trump's support approval from the black voters at 46%, the argument is they were right last time.
Yeah.
The other thing is Emerson earlier this year saw the same thing. They said Trump's approval among black voters at 30%. If that's true, Trump cannot
wins.
lose.
He can't lose.
Period.
Wow.
It's a long-standing trope, I guess, that if a Republican ever gets 20% of the black vote, the Democrats will never win again.
That's fascinating. I was unfamiliar.
So whether or not Trump actually gets that,
Yeah, we'll see.
we actually
I
we have,
will. I'm
no,
going
no.
to win all the vote.
We got this story.
Going
the
to
black
win.
We got to
votes.
do it.
Oh yeah,
What
I
is
love
this?
this story.
50 Cent
Oh,
endorsed
boy.
Donald Trump.
Oh boy.
Now they're saying he's
Of
back.
course he did.
They're saying he's
course he did.
backtracking. I don't think he backtracked.
I don't think so
I don't think so.
Who was that
So-
lady who was on? Who's like, I need to remind him he's black.
Chelsea
Chelsea
Handler.
Chelsea Handler. That was,
She-
that was like
she-
the worst thing.
Hold
That
on,
was
hold
the
on.
most white liberal woman
Handler.
statement I've heard in my entire
Wait,
life.
wait.
It's in her
Wait. That wasn't the only thing she said.
Oh no.
She not only agreed to
I don't
give
even want.
him.
I'm taking my headphones. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even.
She not only agreed. Now you can hear me better.
No, I can hear you better.
Okay.
That's like-
Listen. She not only agreed to pay his tax bill if he
That's nice.
reconsiders his support for Trump, which I'm pretty sure is illegal.
Blackmail.
She also agreed to sleep with him. Well, I'm sorry.
Well,
She
ew.
said
No, I
go.
don't even-
She
that's
said
horrible.
go
That's
another
horrible.
round. That's what she said.
Yeah,
What?
it's terrible.
I'm
It's
pretty
terrible.
sure that's illegal.
That's disgusting.
Anyway,
And of course, I mean, I'm sure they
What?
play it off as I'm sure she's like doing a bit, but that's still it's a
Like,
horrible thing to
oh,
say.
we're
It's a
not going to put
horrible
her in
thing to
jail.
say.
She's just joking.
She's just
The ju-
joshing around,
The judicial
kids.
system's a joke.
It's,
Yeah, just make
I mean,
fun
I'm
of
not
it.
like a authoritarian, but at some point you got to lock somebody up.
Yeah,
for
I mean, I
breaking
don't know
the
if
law.
I think I don't know if I mean,
Fi-
I think she was joking, but still a horrible thing
it
to say.
doesn't. Well, look.
What do you think, Tim?
Okay.
Joking doesn't make it
50,
legal.
50 Cent said 62% tax under Joe Biden. F that. Vote Trump. I don't
Right.
care if Trump doesn't like
don't wanna
black
be 20
people.
Cent.
I don't want to be 20 Cent.
Nah, that's hilarious.
And then-
he was correct.
Good for
yeah.
And then Chelsea Handler was like, she said all these things.
Rude.
Then 50 Cent posted again, F Donald Trump. I never liked him anyway. I don't think that's a backtrack. I don't think he liked Trump in the first place. He said,
okay.
I don't care if Trump doesn't like black people. 50 Cent doesn't want to pay all those taxes.
Right.
Of course not.
Is this the first
I
candidate?
want to be 20 Cent. I still love it.
Is this the first candidate to ever run on raising people's taxes? I heard that. I don't know if that's true though.
Oh man.
Like a president being like, "Read my lips. I'm going to
Yeah.
tax
Taxes.
people."
many new taxes.
Yeah.
If you're like me, your taxes are gonna go up. Yeah, he's like saying you would raise our taxes, which is great.
You know what?
people, voters love hearing that.
I love how
Doesn't he
I-
realize that's one of those things you're supposed to lie about as a politician? Like that is
Saying the quiet
you are
part.
saying the quiet part loud,
Very
Mr.
quiet
Biden.
part.
But I love how the media and Twitter have been lying for him.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing. Oh, and then I hear people say it to me, and I'm like, sit down, my
Sit down
child.
here,
Like,
Sonny.
they're like, Joe Biden's not raising taxes on people. You're so dumb. He's only going to raise taxes on people who make more than $400,000 a year. God, you're so dumb. I have a question, my friend. Is removing a tax cut raising people's taxes?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, so Joe Biden said he's going to repeal Trump's tax cuts on day one. Does that mean that people's taxes will go up Yes.
That
So
means,
Joe
yeah.
Biden is going to take an action that results in your taxes going up. Yes. So Joe Biden is going to raise your taxes. No, he's only raising taxes on people. He's going to raise
Dumb,
taxes on
dude.
everybody, dude.
So, like,
Well, it's funny because with the
everybody,
Trump
everybody?
tax cuts, as typically
Everybody,
happens,
everybody.
as typically happens with the Trump tax cuts, we actually saw an increase in revenue, but they say that there's a decrease in revenue because they spent more than the increase was after
Yeah.
we pulled it in, which is a ridiculous way to argue
Yep.
that position.
Not the strongest, yeah.
Yeah.
so
tax cuts are good for the country, ladies and gentlemen, and good for individual people. And I'm a middle class person. You know, like I'm like pretty firmly in the middle class, making an average living, and the Trump tax cuts saved me a good amount of money on my taxes.
I'm gonna let y'all in a big secret.
Do it.
Did you know that cutting taxes can actually increase tax revenue?
No, yeah, that's what I
for
just
a
said.
jurisdiction.
Yeah,
It does. Yeah, it does. Well, every single time. I mean, the Trump tax cuts did increase revenue, but
Well,
what
so-
happened was they spent the surplus
Right.
so that and so they used that to argue that we actually have less money than we did before. Therefore, his tax cuts decreased our revenue.
Sorry
It's not
for,
true.
for the ignorance, but revenue is the incoming money minus the outgoing money.
No,
or
no,
is
no,
it
no.
just the
Revenue is just
income?
the incoming money.
Then how can they say that the expenditures lower the revenue?
Because I think that they spent more
They're
than
lying.
they had. So
Yeah,
well,
that
A,
too.
lying, but also they spent more than they had. So they were under budget, I think. So then they're saying, oh, well, that means revenue
But
decreased.
it's
So
still
listen,
increased
But they
revenue.
still actually, like raw revenue actually did increase. The amount that they pulled in, the government pulled in was higher.
Here's what happens. I probably told the story on this on the show before, but there was a friend of mine. This is maybe like 15, 16 years ago. A friend of mine, her dad was a contractor. Apparently, there was like a Home Depot or something in Cook County, Chicago, and they shut down and then moved like 5 or 6 miles away into DuPage County and reopened. And we were talking about it, and he said this is a really good example of raising taxes not working, because when they raised the sales tax in Cook County by like 0.02% or some really small number, the people who are like the contractors say, I go to Home Depot, I order my wood, 0.2% over the year averages out, I'm going to lose $20,000. I will drive an extra 30 miles for my orders and for my deliveries if it means I'm saving 20 grand.
Heck yeah.
So the Home Depot was like, we're losing business because of this. We're going to reopen a few miles down the road and we're going to save our business. So what ends up happening is Cook County lost all tax revenue trying to get a little bit more.
Yep.
Because jurisdictions are competing with each other.
Yes.
So long as we don't have like a nationwide uniform sales tax, the competition will exist. And then someone in Cook County will be like, I'm going to go buy my expensive electronics in DuPage where the sales tax is lower and I'm going to save myself $20.
Yes.
It's worth driving a few extra miles.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because business people can still do math, even though politicians cannot.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
That's
all
the
there
trick.
is
There's
to it.
superpower.
You can
And
order
just
stuff
to-
online. Oh,
Well, no, I just wanted to bring the receipts on what I was saying earlier. According to the Congressional Budget Office data, in the 2019 fiscal year, federal revenues increased by 4%, but spending increased by 8%.
Right.
Okay.
So they said the deficit spiked, therefore Trump's tax cuts didn't work. No, his tax cuts did work. The American people got more money in their own pockets, and it was also better for the government because they actually made more revenue or pulled in more revenue, but they can't get money, they can't take money in without spending more
Now-
than they took in because they have no self-control. And so the deficit did increase, but that's not a problem with the tax cuts. That's a problem with our spending problem.
Now, here's how it works federally with federal tax cuts, because there's no external jurisdiction. It's simple. If I give $1 to Seamus, he's got to pay 20 cents to the government. He now has 80 cents. He then uses that 80 cents to buy a widget from you. You got to pay 16 cents on your 80 cents. So the more money you guys have, the more opportunity for trade. So more tidbits keep getting stripped away and given to the government. The simple way to put it is, if you tax at 30%, then Seamus only has 70 cents. He can't afford your 80-cent widget anymore. He doesn't buy it. They don't get any tax revenue after the first exchange until later on. So it can slow down or stagnate the market, resulting in less revenue making its way to the government for expenses.
Exactly. Or my business grows. We're actually making much more. I hire more people. Now there's more payroll taxes being paid to the government.
I'm sure there are economists listening
So-
right now screaming about all the little things we're doing
I know.
It's
But
okay.
I know that. Yeah, I mean, the healthier the economy. If you have a healthy enough economy, even if tax rates are lower, revenue is higher because everyone is earning more. And so even though they're giving a lower percentage of their income to the government, it's actually a larger amount. In total.
I got to say, I love how academic we brought this conversation, considering we started with 50 Cent
Cent.
saying F Trump
I
and Chelsea
love
Handler
it.
being like,
Well,
Hook it up, baby.
He doesn't want to
50,
be
dude.
20 Cent, and I, get it.
Well, so
understand.
so
I
so
totally
I'm
understand.
I'm looping it back because
Okay.
of Lil Pump.
Let's do it.
What happened with Lil Pump? Now,
So-
now 50 Cent wasn't quite able to sway me, but I want to hear what
Tell
Lil
us
Pump
about
had
Lil
to say.
Pump.
Lil,
man.
Lil
Yeah.
Pump posted an Instagram photo of him shaking hands with Donald Trump.
What is this nonsense?
I don't know if it's real. Is it a real
can't
photo?
tell.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Lil Pump is one thing. If Lil Yachty endorses Donald
Dude.
Trump, then there's no way that he's losing.
Lil Pump made a video where he was like, something like, I don't know exactly what he said. I thought he said something like F Joe Biden. No way I'm paying another 30-something% in taxes.
Wait a
Trump
second.
2020.
This matters to all of these artists because Cardi B did something similar. She's like, I'm looking at my taxes. This is insanity. How are y'all paying this much in taxes? And that was just a fucking. Pardon my French. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She was talking about how Bernie is how her guy. I don't understand it. How
I
she
know.
went from taxes being crazy.
because
to,
everyone wants the government to pay for everything while still not having to pay more in taxes.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
uneven
really
dollar.
simple. It's like, listen, all of us are sitting right here.
yeah.
I would like to vote to take Seamus's tie. All in favor?
Yep.
You
I'm
really
not voting this time.
Thank you, thank you, and it is your
We
fault.
did it last time.
I
I was
die.
tricked twice.
Alright,
no
so
longer.
I'm gonna vote in favor of Seamus gets a keep his tie. Can we get?
No, I'm not voting for
Ian,
that either.
What are you doing?
I'm
Come on,
staging a
Ian.
protest.
Okay, hold on, stop,
evil,
stop.
Evil happens when good men fail to act.
Fortunately, you
Oh
don't
my
vote
gosh.
the negative.
Right, wait.
I would
Okay,
say it's a
I have
tie.
a solution. I have a solution.
It is a tie.
I would say it's a tie.
I have a solution. I vote in favor of taking Ian's shirt.
Oh.
All, yeah,
okay.
in favor.
All in favor.
Sorry, Ian. You know,
Ian, you
Sorry,
lose.
Ian.
I remembered who was
It's
there
your
for me.
shirt, Tim. It's your shirt.
No, it's
I
not.
took it from you.
Oh, snap.
Well, I want it back. So,
Hey, how do you guys feel about repealing or paring down income tax?
Oh yeah, abolish the income tax.
you think abolish income tax?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's not something we could do today, but eventually, I mean, again, theoretically, I'm okay with some level of taxation because there are certain government services that need to be paid for, but historically, we mostly paid for that with tariffs or, God forbid, sales taxes. But it's not as if an income tax is an absolute necessity for running a government, and you essentially find people. I mean, you actually alter people's time preference based on whether or not they have the assurance that they'll be able to keep the money that they're working for. So you can make the economy, and I would argue, do make the economy less productive just by having an income tax.
Okay, but haven't the people of Earth already proven they lack the cognitive ability of self-management? Therefore, we must tax 100% of their income and dictate on their behalf with the AI controlling all of their actions?
Yeah, of course. How could I forget? No, if we should just hook everyone's brain into a computer, let Mark Zuckerberg run this whole thing.
Oh, God.
Jack Dorsey's already running it. Like,
It's
that's what we don't
true,
realize.
yeah.
Twitter,
Where is he? He should be on
Twitter
the
is
show.
the interface for the simulation.
Could you imagine if, like,
Is
you
it
know,
actually the simulation? I understand. We're trying to make the simulation more fair for everyone, and the only way to do that is if conservatives aren't allowed to speak.
so
Oh,
could
man,
so
it's
so
true.
we have this image of Jack Dorsey as this like hippie guy with a beard who's talking really slow, but I'm loving the idea that, like, after, you know, so I sat down with him, we talked for a little bit before the Rogan podcast, we talked a little bit afterwards, and he very much, you know, is very similar. I'm just imagining as soon as he got in the car, he like the beard's fake, and he pulls it off, and he's like, now back to Twitter to take over the world, and he's got like a freaky fake movie accent, and like
Freaking knew it.
I imagine Twitter headquarters inside, everything's like, all of the walls are black metal paneling with red lights everywhere, and they all wear these like uniforms, and it's just Jack saying like manipulating people, choosing political opinions, picking the winners and losers, what stories are allowed, what aren't. What if you mentioned Jack Dorsey is already controlling everything?
Yeah, he is.
What if it's literally him?
I kind of love Twitter. I'm not gonna
What?
lie.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I never
You're
used it.
sick humans.
I got my account in 2008 when I was doing YouTube. A bunch of us YouTubers were like, Twitter, hey, the next new big thing. I was like, I just got Facebook. I don't want to get a third thing that's the
Right, it's a lot
exact
of
same as
things.
Facebook.
Right.
Does the exact same. If I'm going to do a text message to my followers, I'll use Facebook. Don't bother me
I'll
with
do
the
a
new
group chat.
stuff.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I just recently started using Twitter like a couple months ago, and I love it.
I like it
I
too.
like
Yeah.
that you can.
You know the best thing
I
about
hate
Twitter
it,
is,
but I feel like I need to use it.
I've learned to love it. You know why?
I do.
Because you're a masochist. You guys, that's called Stockholm
No,
syndrome,
no,
Tim.
no.
You like Twitter
No, you're
because
wrong.
you're identifying with your captor. You're
No,
mentally enslaved.
I started paying a bit more attention to Michael Malice's Twitter account.
Oh, he's all right. That's fair.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
He rules.
and
He's the
I've
king.
learned from him
Yes,
because
he
he
is.
is the king. When
He
he when
he's
he
literally the king of Twitter. That's
when
Yeah,
he
he is.
responds to Donald Trump with "We don't
You
deserve
don't
him,"
deserve him. It's
I'm
amazing.
like, that's it. He's figured it out. So now I don't capitalize letters. I just
I
tweet
noticed
random.
you don't put commas. You just
Yeah,
go.
right. I just
commas.
stopped
Tim
caring
hates
completely,
commas.
and I want them. Like I figured there's nothing you can tweet without someone's head exploding.
Yeah, it's
so I'm
great.
like, I'll just don't care. Like I tweeted, it'll be really funny if Joe Biden wins because actually it'll be Kamala. Like I just thought of something, and now I tweeted basically like my shower thoughts.
He does.
Yeah.
I get thoughts in the
and
shower
then
too.
he writes SAD in caps with an exclamation point. Sad.
I have
Sad.
a theory about why you get shower thoughts.
I know why it is.
Because you're.
Well, there's information in water. Water has.
I
No.
disagree.
So
I already don't
information-
agree with you,
All right.
Ian.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
if I was
Maybe.
crazy, I would say there's information in water. So
Well,
Toilet
Ian.
thoughts.
yeah, so
Yeah.
when you're getting bombarded with all this water, you're getting the information of ages past
possible.
seeping into your DNA.
We don't
Virus.
live in Breath of the Wild,
This is
where
not-
where the liquid
man.
information
All right,
lands on
if
your
that's
tablet.
true, then Jack Dorsey's doing a crazy job running this simulation.
Dude, yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I have thought about it, and I know why it is. It's because we're isolated from tech. That's all it is. We're not allowed to
Oh, so we have these
hold
weird
our own
thoughts.
What, in the
thoughts.
shower?
Yeah.
Well, people had shower thoughts all the time. Shower thoughts
No,
didn't originate with
exactly.
technology.
Don't they say that
No, but she's
water-
saying like
We've
I think
never
that
called
you're
it
you're
that.
removed from
Right.
distractions.
Exactly.
I'm distracted. I'm sitting there at my computer all day, and I'm like be reading the news, and I'll just like think of something and just tweet it.
Yeah.
And I don't capitalize letters anymore.
No, he
I
gave
just,
up.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know.
Maybe I'll try it.
You know why? Because it used to be like I remember.
Because he doesn't like capitalism.
I
It's
made
true.
I made a
That's
joke.
horrible.
No,
That's
you
horrible.
guys are gonna love this.
You were right.
Okay.
I made a joke, something about they said Greta Thunberg endorses Joe Biden, and I thought my tweet was very clearly meant to be like sarcastic
Oh,
or satirical.
no.
I said, I think it was. I think most people got it, but some
Yeah.
people didn't. I said, this is collusion of the highest order. We
Nope.
must not allow Sweden, to get away with it, something like that. And I'm like, Greta Thunberg saying she likes Joe Biden is clearly not.
Yeah.
But I got a bunch of leftists all like high-fiving each other and laughing, being like, Tim's so dumb. Oh, he really thinks she's colluding Sweden. Oh, he's so stupid. And I'm like, I'm into it. I'm like,
It's hilarious.
yeah, you go for it. Yeah, tweet it. I don't. I stopped
actually-
even trying to explain jokes because they're just not
Engagement.
smart enough to get it.
I have a
Yeah.
really similar story. I tweeted that on the topic of Twitter. I tweeted, Twitter's been utterly destructive for society, and Jack refuses to shut it down. Why? Because he's made upward of $15,000 running it. Like as a joke, just like
Yeah,
a vast
true. Yeah.
underestimation.
More than
and then
seven.
and then I was like, actually, I think it might even be twice that, like more than twice that.
Whoa.
And there were one or two people who commented like, I think it's more than $15,000.
Do you think
See,
so?
that's how I learned to love it.
Yeah.
Because I remember I made a joke a year or so ago, and everyone was like, "You're so dumb," and I was like, "Guys, I'm joking." But
Hashtag
doesn't-
JK.
no, you can't do anything. It's like
Joshing around.
no, it's like you put out
doesn't
a
matter.
tweet and people can't tell it's a joke because sometimes these things don't read through. There's no point in trying to explain it.
No.
Just roll with it. Just
Yeah.
just
It's
get
funny.
it. Go into it. So my response to people then was like, I just went with it. I was like, it's collusion. Like how dare? And then I started accusing Biden of colluding with Kazakhstan because Borat.
Borat?
Yeah, because of
Oh, man.
Borat. And people were like. These people, they're just like, "Huh, he's doing it again. He's so dumb," and I'm like,
That's just trolling.
I'm into this. I'm
That's
just gonna.
trolling.
It's
Yeah.
a great. I mean, it's a good tactic in some ways because you make some certain number of your opponents look very stupid when they take the bait.
That's not it. If I have a joke,
it
I'll
is.
make a joke.
No, I'm not saying that that's the reason you're doing it, but that is like an added benefit. It's like, wow, these people actually genuinely believe this. I think most of them probably know it's a
Dude.
joke, but my favorite is when something is obviously a joke, because I've seen this happen to other public figures where they'll say something ridiculous intentionally, and people will go, whoa, you really believe that? And then when they make it clear that they were joking, the response is like, oh, he's playing it off as a joke now. This
Did
is
you
clearly
see-
something he meant.
The coyote thing.
Yes.
When Donald Trump was like, the kids are being brought over by the coyotes. And then-
we need a wall with fake tunnels painted on it, so the
Coyotes,
will
the
run
wily coyote.
into it
Yes.
and be flattened.
Yes.
And then you get all these blue checks. I'm just imagining they're all sitting around high-fiving each other. They're like,
smart.
it's the craziest thing. I was talking to this guy I know, and I was like, dude, he's like a leftist. And I said, you got to realize, man, all of these people, you understand they're dumb, right? But they think they're smart. So they're
midwits. Michael Malice talks about this.
midwits.
Yeah,
They-
100%.
midwits.
I love
They
it.
think they're smart, and they're like, Trump's so dumb. He thinks dogs are carrying babies. What a moron. It's like, do you have Google?
The coyotes are
Did
not
you-
dogs.
But it's not
Yeah.
the no. The crazy thing
I
is,
saw that. I saw someone saying dogs.
it's not the first time that's happened.
no.
In 2018, Vox.com had to write a whole article because their audience is too stupid to know what a coyote is.
Yep.
So they were like, no, Trump didn't mean dogs. But because they were trying to defend their audience, they're like, but maybe he kind of did. No, he never meant canines or whatever. What's the Latin
Lupus,
family?
some kind of
Lupus.
yeah.
Ian,
Oh, that's wolf.
I'm too embarrassed to ask Tim, But
Canine
what's a coyote?
A coyote
Continue.
is a child trafficker.
A child trafficker.
Okay. Okay.
No. A coyote is a
Dog.
brown creature that
Yeah.
walks on two legs and purchases explosives from the Acme Corporation.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is stupid. He thought that they were bringing babies over.
Can you believe that Trump thought Wile E. Coyote was
Oh,
like chasing
man.
the Roadrunner
What
with
an idiot,
babies?
So
man.
dumb.
So dumb.
He's so
Andy
dumb.
Kaufman is one of my idols.
We need a bunch of sticks of dynamite to stop the coyote. we need to get me a giant helmet and put me
We
in
do.
a cannon to launch me at the coyote.
My problem with satire is that if you're someone in the news or that's like people trust, if you do satire, I am afraid that it draws your entire body of work into question. But you're funny as hell, and I
thank you.
think there's something to humor. Like if you weren't funny, that you'd be one-sided.
I'm willing to bet many of
love
my
humor.
jokes on Twitter are not funny. I don't care. Twitter is my place for shower thoughts. I'm not a comedian, but I do commentary. So if I make commentary that's potentially humorous or whatever, I'm doing commentary. If so a lot of people have fallen into this. So you've got a lot of actual journalists whose job is to be a journalist, but they go on Twitter and they post activism and snarky humor all day. Now I understand they shouldn't be doing that. I do political commentary analysis and I make jokes in my analysis.
Yeah.
I would say it's a small percentage, a very, very small, where there's like, sometimes people tell me, like, I watched your video, it was really funny. And I'm like, I'm not doing a bit. Like, I don't have jokes. I don't script anything. I just give my like take on things. And sometimes I'll say something. That's the same thing with Twitter. Sometimes I'll just be like, here's a point, and like I'm being sarcastic. People,
I get like that when I would see like news anchors in movies, and I'm like, wait, are they a news anchor or are they an actor? And then I wonder if they're like Anderson Cooper, like is he?
You know what really freaked me out was when John McCain was on Saturday Night Live, because he was really good. He was funny.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like,
He's actually a good actor. I remember that. That was
Like-
that was
That's fun.
right before
Yeah.
the election.
Interesting.
That was his October surprise.
oh yeah.
I'm
funny.
hoping Trump's October surprise is he brings Corn Pop out.
It's too
And
late.
Corn Pop
I hope so.
tells his half of the
I
story.
need
And it
Corn
turns
Pop.
out it's completely
He wasn't
different.
such a
Like
bad guy.
like
He
Joe
was a great
Joe
guy.
Biden was sniffing
He's
his hair
rescuing.
and just being like just all horribly unprofessional lifeguard.
Wait, it's Trump's October surprise.
That's Trump's. He's like, we're bringing out the great man who needs no introduction, the great
Corn
Corn
Pop.
Pop.
the final piece of
We
Hunter
like Corn
Biden's
Pop.
laptop.
We like
That's
Corn
right.
Pop.
And
Then the final piece of Hunter Biden's laptop is like
Yeah.
Corn Pop's contact information,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they're able to reach out to him and bring him on stage.
Oh man, I would
you know,
love
to
that.
be completely honest, like the weirdest thing about the Corn Pop story is that it's really obvious Joe Biden was terrified of these guys.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah, they got the rusty razor,
But
put him
why
in
is
the
it-
barrel,
why-
bang him on
why-
the cement.
why is Joe Biden telling us a story about the one time a guy threatened him with a knife and he got scared and apologized?
A razor. Well, because he stood out there with a chain because Bill Wright told him the mechanic who showed him where all the pool filter is.
Dude, do people like?
Took him in and he said if you don't you get that chain that goes across the deep end and say if you don't get out I'm gonna wrap this around your head and if you don't do it then you can't come back, and he was right. And so Joe Biden went out there and he threatened Corn Pop. He threatened him but also apologized at the same time. He's like I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams,
Dude.
but I'm sorry I called
Did you? Is Tucker Carlson doing the Bobby Linsky thing tonight?
I don't know.
What if
that.
what if the whole big reveal is that the secret documents they got was not Hunter Biden collusion? It was just Corn Pop photos of him. He's like a friend.
hanging out.
He's a friend of the Biden family. The whole thing was fake.
It was a false flag, dude.
Biden made the whole
We have
story
got
up.
to find Corn Pop.
Dude, he just
have to.
Corn Pop was
Searching for Corn Pop.
Corn Pop was a good family friend who Biden just threw under the bus.
He was.
And just like completely
another
destroyed
Joe
his
Biden
reputation.
lie.
I
And
know.
now Joe Biden, now
look.
Corn Pop's life is over. It's ruined. He
It's
can't get
sad.
a job doing
You-
anything.
oh,
It's
man.
because
You want
Joe-
to be real though? I'm willing to bet the
Always.
Corn Pop story wasn't his story.
I
For real
know
though.
you're right.
For real though.
He's a
Plagiarism.
plagiarist.
No,
He's a plagiarist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it like happened to his friend.
Why would that? Why is that the story you'd plagiarize? Like I don't get
Why
it.
did he-
I
hold on,
get
no, no,
it.
no, no,
'Cause
no.
he was
Why-
like, why am
why-
I the first Biden to ever not work in coal mines and go to college? But like that's kind of a noble thing to discuss.
Right.
The
That's
fact
not
that
even
you
true,
come
is
from-
it?
No,
No,
it's
no,
not
that
true.
didn't happen. There was a British
Yeah, that's
politician.
not true.
There was a British politician who was like, why is it that I am the first in my family to be college educated? My ancestors work in the coal mines. And
Yep.
Joe's like, why did my family work in the coal mines, Jack? And then came up and did.
Yep.
And I was the first one to get to go to the pool filter. And it was almost word for word. It was like this wasn't like Joe Biden plagiarizing some, pro-democracy, pro-freedom banality you could hear any politician say. He was drawing from this man's life experience and family history.
Sad.
But I could understand why, because it was kind of an inspiring story. Why would you make the corn? Like, I just don't get it. I hear what you're saying, but it's.
You see the
it's
Johnny
like, why
Carson
would he
bit?
lie about corn pop?
You see the Johnny Carson bit from way
No.
back when? We did mention this on the show a couple days ago or whatever, but it was a big scandal that he was plagiarizing. And so Johnny Carson was like, Joe Biden's had to drop out of the race because he's been caught plagiarizing. And to calm his staff down, he said, don't worry, there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's fantastic.
my
But hold on.
That was 7 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
something
So-
like that.
Wait. You ask why did he tell this story, and I agree. Why did he tell us this story? But why did he tell the story about the kids playing with his hair in the pool?
Oh, that's so gross.
What is wrong with
That
this
was the
dude?
same day. That was actually the same
It
day.
was the same. It was the same
He's
thing.
like, I got hairy legs. And the one thing.
Oh my gosh.
What
is-
come
what
up
is
and mat him down.
Did you have you ever actually listened to the full thing?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I
It's-
animated
it's-
the corn pop story.
He did, yeah.
Oh, you did?
So I did.
Kids
We had
on
like
my
2.5 minutes.
amazing.
But it's like
or myself
when-
and my team. I can't take all the credit.
when Grandpa is out of it, he's out of it, and he's rambling, and you're just like, what do we do? And your parents are like, just let him.
He's
tell
Abe
us,
Simpson.
Yeah,
He's
he
Abe
really
Simpson.
is.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
I think-
Are we gonna
He's
elect?
plagiarizing Abe Simpson.
Yeah,
So-
it's like
so-
his
Oh my
entire
gosh.
persona was
Let's
lifted
not.
off of a Simpsons character. That's
Gosh, this makes sense.
Did you see he accidentally called Trump George?
that we're gonna
Yeah.
get 4 more years of George.
Yeah.
And so
What?
well, hold on. Apparently, people are saying that George Lopez, I guess,
what
was
I heard.
hosting it,
What?
and so he just mixed up George
Oh,
and Trump.
man.
George
You're saying
Lopez.
It meant George Bush.
Yeah,
Because he's
he's
going
Well,
so
he didn't say
senile.
George Bush. He
He
didn't say
said
George because George Lopez was the host.
Okay.
So
weird.
he thought George Lopez was president.
Here's the
I'm
thing.
kidding. He mixed up the names.
That's
but the
not
point is,
better.
Jill was sitting next to him going, Trump.
Oh my
Whispering.
gosh,
Was
was she
she
really?
really?
Behind every great man is a woman.
No.
Yeah.
Listen,
And-
listen. You watch these videos and you see Jill Biden and Joe, and it's very obvious that we are like on the line between you've got real candidate here and you've got weekend at Biden's here.
Yeah.
And you've got that thin line where Jill is standing next to it. You see that spoof commercial they did where it's like a movie trailer where a guy and this woman come downstairs and she's like, wait a minute, that's our candidate and the election's a week away and it's a dead Joe Biden. And then they're like, they weekend at Bernie's him,
Yep.
Dude, I would love to see Jill Biden break down in tears about how sad she is for Joe's.
I would feel horrible if that happened. But here's the thing with Jill Biden, just Joe Biden specifically. Let's say he is actually in perfect mental health, and it just happens to be the case that he makes these gaffes really often. Let's just say that is a possibility.
Okay.
That is still not the person you want leading
Yeah.
the free world.
Exactly.
You don't want that person negotiating with foreign leaders. You don't want that person giving speeches that need to be given in order to inspire the American people. Like, he's got to be able to string some
6
number of
words?
words
Could you-
together without
could you-
making a serious error.
Could you imagine if he's sitting like so Trump is negotiating these historic peace deals, and he's not like he just I guess
And
the
he challenges Putin to a push-up contest
Yeah,
and
man.
calls him fat.
look fat. No. But he's talking to Putin and he goes, Vlad, we gotta
Hey, Vlad.
do a deal with the 700 trillion billion thousand.
He doesn't know the number.
Stack
sign-
spaghetti sauce. And
He's gonna if this dude can't speak and he gets
What
names
happened?
wrong. Imagine if Putin's sitting there and then instead of saying like we're gonna give the U.S. we want you to give the U.S. X amount of dollars, he accidentally says North Korea.
Or the
and
wrong
then they do
number.
it. They give
Yeah.
North Korea the money.
And
Like-
then but then Biden signs a deal and they're like, yeah, sign it.
I
He's
don't
like,
think
"Ugh."
that. I don't think that could happen. There's got to be
So-
fail safes there, but that's still
I hope
really
so.
funny. That's
I would
still
like to think
hysterical.
so.
Biden gets.
I will say that
That would
I
be a great
think
movie.
That would be a fantastic film, like Joe Biden.
I think the corn pop thing is like a decisive, like what will happen if Joe Biden gets elected. He's gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna make a big stink and then cave
Whoa,
in.
wait a minute. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome to get some of these Biden, like he's like addressing the nation. It's like an Oval Office address, and he's sitting there. He's like all confused, his eyes half closed, and then we just get a rambling grandpa story, just like randomly. That'd be kind of fun. It's like you're sitting there, you're stressed out from work, and all of a sudden they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the president
It
of
would
the
be kind of
United
fun.
States of America," and he's like, "Oh, one time I was going down to get a loaf of bread and." And then sure enough, as Corn Pop, he comes back, and he's got his knife, and it's like
snap! What?
rambling grandpa story hour.
Cost
You know what I mean?
20 cents. I remember before they
Yeah,
sliced
I
it.
remember.
They never sliced bread. When
But
back in those days, Sean did the
Corn-
change
But Corn Bob had his knife, and so I had the bread, and he sliced it for me.
with a
And
rusty razor.
Yeah, man.
He used to put it in a rain barrel and get it,
Oh
bang it
my
on the curb, bang it on the
gosh.
cement.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh my goodness.
Well, don't you remember, Tim? That's what
Putting it
everyone
in a-
does on the south side of Chicago. Puts
Putting-
razors in a rain barrel.
Like,
and,
was this
bang
like
none
one of
the
those
dang, the darn
switch
cement.
razors or something, like a straight
I think it was a
razor?
straight razor you shave with.
Oh my God.
and you'd bang it on the rain barrel, put it in the rain barrel,
What does
bang
that
it on the
mean?
curb.
What is this?
You'd get it rusty. Joe Biden, I love how he was discussing this like as if this was something we should just all remember doing. He's like, oh, you remember you used to put the razor
don't
in the,
remember
you put
that,
the razor in
Grandpa.
the water barrel, and it's like,
Don't remember
no, I
it.
never did that, Joe. Actually, and I don't
Dude.
think anyone listening did that either.
Can you imagine as he progresses and starts like losing his filter and then regresses back to like the 1960s
Infancy.
or whatever?
I actually feel really bad for him. I don't know how bad his condition is, but like if it actually is, so part of me thought like he just had a stutter because that's what the media's been
No.
saying. So I was like, no, I'm totally kidding.
He did
but
at
I'm
first,
totally
yeah.
He
kidding.
does
I'm
have a
totally
stutter,
kidding.
though.
No, well,
he does, but he's
now.
not. All right, now they're saying
Or
he has a
used
stutter.
to when he was a kid.
Biden was famous for making gaffes for his
Right.
entire political career. There was this weird thing that we saw. We saw it with Clinton, and we also saw it with Obama, where you'd have this like really articulate presidential candidate, and then their VP was just kind of a bumbling guy who couldn't
Yeah.
say things without gaffes. Like that was kind of Al Gore. And I remember my perception, even as a kid, was that Joe Biden was just the Al Gore to Barack Obama's Bill Clinton. He's just clumsy and he misspoke quite frequently. Not that he had some kind of stutter, and the media never said he had a stutter. And now that he's making these ridiculous gaffes in telling stories about a corn pop and his leg hair, I guess they think that's some kind of impediment,
No, no,
kind
when
of a
he-
speech
when-
impediment. Like that's how they're trying to play it off.
When
And
he-
there was a woman who said something about this, and some reporter, I'm blanking on who it was, but it was on one of the mainstream media outlets. They're like, you're making fun of him? How do children in this
Oh,
country
right,
feel
right.
when they see you making fun of him for his lisp? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Did you see-
that
no,
was
listen,
Laura
listen.
Trump, I think, was
The
one.
the issue that concerns me is when
getting yelled at.
Joe Biden called Donald Trump Abraham Lincoln. It was
Yes,
the
he
it was,
did.
it was the
It was
weirdest thing to me
amazing.
because he goes, Abraham Lincoln here is the most racist president we've ever had, and I was like, wait, let me stop.
That could have been funny.
My brain
That
tried
was
to
funny.
very quickly decipher this because the first thing was like, okay, my immediate assumption is Abraham Lincoln over here.
He beat
said,
George.
No, hold on. I was like, he said Abraham Lincoln here is the most racist president we've ever had. But then I'm like, there's no way he would call Trump Abraham Lincoln on stage. Is he saying Abraham Lincoln is the most racist, like the actual
No.
Lincoln? No, that can't be either. So wait, hold on. He called Trump Abraham
he meant
Lincoln?
to say this guy talking about Abraham Lincoln is the most racist president
Was
we've ever
Trump-
had.
was
But
Trump talking about
cut
Abraham
all-
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
then it
He
makes a
left
little
all
more
that
sense.
out.
Stop. Early on, Trump said, I have done more for the black community than perhaps
Yes.
Abraham Lincoln.
Except Abraham Lincoln.
Since
that's
Abraham
right.
Lincoln.
He was
Since
like,
Abraham
I've
Lincoln.
done more for the black community, except perhaps Abraham
Since-
Lincoln.
so hold on. So wait,
Since Abraham.
which was also
Oh, yeah,
a
except-
hilarious moment. Like
For
I laughed,
sure.
I was
I liked
dying
it,
at that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but for Joe Biden to think he is getting Trump by calling him Abraham Lincoln was the craziest thing I'd ever heard.
Is that
Yeah, I think
that
he meant-
Obama gets sworn in on the Lincoln Bible? His whole thing is he
Oh
wanted
my
to be just
gosh,
like
yeah.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, at first.
These are
But
both
then he
racist.
realized he was selling out.
And then, well, you know,
wanted
I
to
mean,
be like Teddy Roosevelt.
he was proceeded over the beginnings of a civil war, so I guess they weren't so
yeah, they
different.
kind of.
Man,
Yeah,
I wish
kinda
Obama
did.
had gone full Abe Lincoln.
But did you? But no.
He had
I bring
about
this up
2 months before he got
I bring this up
co-opted.
because of Trump's response to being called Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
He
That's what I'm
loved
saying.
it. He was
yeah.
he was
I
just
get
like
it. They called
me
no. Listen,
honest Don.
No,
It's
no.
true.
Honest Don.
He's-
Honest Abe.
he said something like, "You just called me Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come from?" And Biden was like, It's like he had nothing to say. Like he didn't understand. And Trump was like, "You just called me Abraham Lincoln. What is this? What is that?" And he like Biden looked crazy.
Yeah.
He looked nuts.
I want to pull that up. I wish we could pull up
you
clips
pull
and
that
show
up,
them on the
Jamie?
show. Can we
I'm not
can evolve the
Jamie.
show
I
to do
can't-
that?
I can look at it, but yeah.
Jamie-
Eventually, we could probably. I would love to have like
Liz,
pull
I
stuff
didn't mean
up
to
and
call you
show little
Jamie.
clips
Liz,
while
Jamie.
we're talking
I'm
about
sorry.
it.
Oh yeah,
Liz,
we
Jamie.
normally can, but
That's
we're in super
it's
chat
so
mode. That's why.
funny.
We
Hey
are
there, fat-
technically in super chats, guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
I want to
we
watch
should
that.
switch. Yeah,
So
let's
we-
switch
we're-
over.
Called him Abe Lincoln, dude.
I know. I actually really want to see that. That's
It was
actually
so good.
Honest Abe.
I couldn't
Johnny's
believe
Dave.
it.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
He
Thank
called
you.
Trump
Liz, I'm glad
Abraham
somebody
Lincoln.
noticed that,
That's
Lydia.
right. I love
And
it.
I called you Jamie.
Don-
I'm
how
a horrible
rude.
friend.
You're a terrible
I thought that
person.
was like,
Honest
did he just?
Honest Abe.
Is Trump gonna bump
I've never
up?
lied.
Never lied.
Trump should run a commercial like of of Joe Biden calling him Lincoln.
Yeah.
saying,
I
calling
love
him
it.
Like an Abe
No,
Lincoln
but
montage.
Joe
seeing it
Biden
coming.
posted it to Twitter. He clipped it, and then he posted to Twitter like he's trying to reclaim
That's
it.
right. I saw that. No, yes. Actually, my girlfriend was just talking about that. How like the clips that Biden was posting on his Twitter still had gaffes in them.
Yep.
Yes.
I was like, this is the best you could do.
There's no way to avoid it. There's not.
He called. Nobody tweeted out Abraham Lincoln over here, and I was like, did he think posting a clip of him like to make sure everybody sees it was a good idea? Is this guy trying to lose? No. Hold on. Joe Biden's traveling around the country, right? He's going to
Yeah.
like 3 states the next week, but why?
He's trying to secede.
No,
He wants to fight Abe Lincoln.
Possible.
Hold on. Answer me this. Why is Joe Biden going to any of these states?
I don't know.
Running a
Secession.
campaign, a presidential campaign.
But no one shows up, and he
Give
doesn't speak to
crowds.
anybody.
He's
There's no
dude,
crowds.
Dude, he's in like a Pope mobile.
Wow.
It's like he
Really
Pope-
is.
have you seen these things?
completely
Like,
insulated from everything.
he's
Yeah,
not.
he is.
Did you see that weird video of Cher? That
No.
really weird
So
video.
weird.
There's no one in the audience, and she goes, "Who do we want to win?" And they go, "I'm not. I'm,
Yeah,
they don't
it's
serious.
amazing.
I'm serious. They just groan like that. I'm not kidding. It's
So like,
Saying
if she had
Joe,
said, "Who
but-
do we want to beat?" They would have been like Trump. But they're like, "Who
said-
do we want to win?" They're like, "Well, technically no one, but like we'll take Biden."
No one.
no, dude. You got to hear it because it's the crazy. It's one of the craziest
Should we
political
pull it
videos. If you can,
I want
let me
to
see if I
pull
can
the
find
Abe
it.
Lincoln thing up,
Yeah,
please.
the Abe Lincoln.
The Abe Lincoln-
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
The Abe Lincoln thing's on my Twitter, but no, seriously, this Cher
Shameless
thing.
plug,
and
Tim.
then she's like, she goes, okay, I guess I'll sing, and then I'll go, and then the music starts playing, and she's singing, but she's standing there like, and then like her lip sync was off. But I kid you not, she goes, "Who do we want to win?"
And she's stuttering.
Oh my god.
I'm being serious.
Joe? Is it like Joe?
No, they're just groaning.
They're like, are they
Bunch
going
of
on?
zombies.
They're saying Joe. Yeah.
I think you got to find the
I
tweet.
was saying
Okay,
Boo
I'll look
Earns.
for it.
Look up the no, not this, not this.
Man.
Google search what is going on here or something.
Okay, let me
And
look.
like Twitter.
If I can find it in like 2 seconds, we can look at it. And if I can,
Yeah, it was just tweet
bad.
like someone posted a clip. It was so weird. What is going on here?
on here,
Twitter.
share, twit.
Yeah, that's
See if we
fantastic.
can find this.
Go
This is
ahead.
funny.
Twit.
His base is energized.
This
It's
has
yeah.
been the most
His base-
entertaining month of the year for me. I don't know
Yeah.
about
No.
you guys.
No, I hear.
100%.
Well, Biden's base was energized, but then they had to put a lid on it, and so now they're
Oh,
just,
yeah,
up,
too
uh,
much. We had to slow it down. It's
yeah,
getting too hot.
yeah, exactly. Too much.
Which one?
You gotta
It's like
take a
a
nap
jet
every now and
engine,
again.
yeah.
Share Biden rally.
At the end of the
There you
day, you're too tired.
Burn it. Burn it
Oh
up.
Yeah, I'm
man.
feeling that.
I've seen some of the weirdest like political videos coming out of the Biden campaign. I have to wonder if they're really trying to lose. So anyway, here's this is why I asked about like why is Biden going to Georgia or whatever. He's not campaigning to anybody.
Why is he going?
He walks into a closed room. There's no one there but a few reporters. He gives a speech and then he leaves.
Yep.
He's not firing anybody up. Either they're trying to lose or they're so confident in their cheating they don't need to actually do anything to win.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Probably
same thing that
both.
happened last time, right? They just assumed they were going to get the vote, so they didn't actually do the proper campaigning. Like Hillary didn't visit the states she needed to visit because she just assumed she was going to
Yeah.
win. I would like to think that they're smarter than to make that mistake again, but they did nominate Joe Biden, right?
Dude,
Yeah.
what
Did
were
we
they
did,
thinking?
did we talk about this last time I was on? I remember having this conversation with somebody, but basically, I think we did talk about this. But for my entire life, the Democrats and left-wing people just found it hilarious that Reagan's mind started to go towards the end of his presidency,
Yeah.
and how ridiculous and incompetent Republicans were for having a president who was starting to lose his mind. And it's like, okay, like you guys chose Joe Biden to be your candidate when there were other options, when he was clearly not in a place to make any real decisions for himself, let alone the country. And
It's a bunch of people with mental problems that put him in that position, I think. I think
you
a
might
lot
be
of these
right.
60, 70, 80-year-olds that are like still
do you
relevant
think that's
fiscally.
it? They remember Corn Pop too, or
Yeah.
do you think?
They're
Do you
like,
think
I
it's just
remember this.
they're like, dude, I remember. I do remember
I
putting
do
razors in the
remember.
rain barrel. Like I did
remember.
that. These
Is Joe
millennials,
Biden.
yeah.
I mean, I thought Bernie Sanders was going to get the nom.
Did you really?
100%.
So, yeah.
You are so optimistic.
He had the fire.
I don't like Bernie, but that is an optimistic take, and I
Yeah.
appreciate
It
that
just
about you.
seemed
But
like he had the voter base,
he
and all of a
didn't.
sudden Biden got all his news attention, and then they were like, and it's Biden.
But Bernie blew it because Bernie basically begged them to not nominate him. He didn't fight hard enough.
Yeah,
Look
he
what
did.
Trump did.
Yeah.
Trump was like, these people are horrible. They're part of the swamp. They're monsters. We're going to drain it. Get rid of them. They're screwing you and your family over. Bernie Sanders would talk about like sort of his narrow area where he's very proficient at speaking, which is basically about income inequality and what conditions are like for the working class and how he can help them through his model. And whenever it came to the other candidates who are actually responsible in large part for the problems that working class people in this country are facing, you'd say like, oh, well, like I like this person. I know they're a decent human, or I know that like Trump didn't play that game at all. He didn't pretend to be friends with them. And he also said, and this is important, he did not say that he would endorse whoever they nominated. If they stole it from you last time, and then this time they're asking you if you will endorse the candidate if you're not nominated. You are literally begging them. You are saying to them, please take this from me, steal it from me. I will endorse whoever you pick instead of me. And that's what Bernie Sanders did. So it's his own fault.
Bernie sold out.
Yeah.
Sure did.
We got the tweet.
Yes.
I don't know if we can hear it though.
The least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark.
I think I can.
I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around.
I don't think they're going to show the part where Trump's like,
across the board.
Look at his
I'm not
face,
Abraham
though.
Lincoln.
About the
I
poor
didn't say it was
boys.
Abraham Lincoln.
Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told him to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a
the
dog.
poor boys.
The poor boys. I
The
forgot
poor
the
boys,
poor boys.
dude.
Yes.
That's hysterical.
freaking love
Also,
the poor boys.
The poor
so
boys.
One tweet.
I didn't watch the entire debate, but I watched the part where Trump said that he was the least racist. And I didn't catch Biden calling him Abe Lincoln. I must have
Yes,
only been
he
half
called
in it.
him
That's
Abraham Lincoln.
hysterical. Why did I miss that? When he goes,
We
and I
couldn't-
also love that Trump says he's the least racist person in the room, implying that like the people in the audience are more racist
Exactly.
than him.
100% more racist than he is.
Dude, I love it. But no, it's hysterical. And Biden's response was fantastic. And Trump did a much better job this time because he just let Biden talk.
Exactly.
He kept
Yeah.
interrupting him the first time. It's like, no, you
Yeah.
just got to let
No,
Biden
just
go.
let him do his thing.
Give him enough rope.
Seriously.
I was.
Well,
What were you gonna say?
yeah, go ahead.
I didn't watch it the night of. I watched it the next day, and I put the YouTube video on 1.25 speed.
That's right.
So much better.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
I think what happened with Biden, I just enjoyed watching Trump's face. I really enjoyed it.
The
He's like,
reactions.
That's the least racist
Oh, the
president.
end
Yeah.
with the part with the banning the fossil fuels, and Trump
Yeah.
goes, oh.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
do you
that's
know what would
great.
be? You know what, dude? This would just break the internet and the world. Dare I say? If Trump just did just got a Twitch channel and did a stream.
He's banned. He's banned from Twitch.
Are you serious?
Yes, isn't that
Dude,
awful?
if he just got if he just did the Twitch stream thing with his face as an icon in the corner, just watching and reacting to a Joe Biden rally. He's
Man.
just making his face what is he talking about?
What is he
this
talking
man?
about?
He's been in
I don't
government
know.
for he's done
47
nothing. He's
years.
used it.
Yeah.
47 years, he's done nothing. That would be beautiful. Dude, you know how many super chats he would get?
I know
He
he
would
should
raise
do-
enough
would
money
rake
to
in
run his
so
campaign.
much
He would
money.
rake in so much
Please,
money to
Donald
win
Trump.
re-election.
$10.
If you were
No, no, no.
listening, make a YouTube channel.
You don't get
A
it.
Twitch.
You don't.
He could
listen.
use a fake name like Donald Brump, and then he'll just use Drump. Use Drump, and then
Trump.
make a Twitch channel, and they won't know, and he'll just.
Wait.
What do you think
Good
AOC is
idea.
going to do for her presidential run? Oh no. She's going to be on Twitch taking bits from Amazon, and she's going to be doing super chat.
Then what's the one thing you can't say? I mean, she's good at marketing herself. I disagree with her.
the best
I disagree with her on basically everything, but she knows what she's doing. She knows how to
She's got
appeal
10 million
to the
followers
youngins.
now.
She has a good
Oof.
crew too. I think her crew is really the good marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
I think she's just good at generating press, like being a spectacle.
Yeah.
And what was it? She recently complained that Trump called her AOC. She got all offended.
Yeah. 'cause
It's
he-
things like that where I'll tell you this. One really important way to get press attention in this political world is to purposefully gaffe. So AOC says something that's absurd, like "How dare Trump call me AOC?" And then her opponents are like, "Woo, AOC, and then
media.
free media.
Well, that's
Trump
that's
does the same thing.
People will appreciate a likable idiot over an unlikable genius. So if you go out there, I'm not necessarily saying AOC is an idiot, right? She says a lot of stupid stuff. But if you go out there and you say something really dumb, but you are likable, and AOC, for as much as I disagree with her, she is indeed very likable.
She is, yeah.
And so getting eyes on herself is really good for her brand. She doesn't have
cute.
to hide away. Yeah. And she's, again, that's why she's doing this. She was doing a Twitch stream where she was playing, what game was it?
I forget.
Among
Some
Us.
stupid
Among
game,
Us, yeah. And so even if she makes these gaffes, people will like, it's only human. Everyone makes mistakes. But she has this factor of likability that I don't see in other politicians. So maybe I'm a little more friendly to her, even if she's just clearly wrong about X, Y, and Z. Whereas, I mean, there have been political leaders in the past who, frankly, I mean, usually they don't get very far, who don't make quite as many mistakes, but they're just like
Ron Paul.
They're boring.
I
love Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Actually, I disagree. I think Ron Paul was unbelievably charismatic. The fact that he was able to get young people as invested in the issues that he got them invested in is really unbelievable. Like, how do you get college students interested in monetary policy and like high school students
That's
interested?
yeah.
Zeitgeist, all those movies, man, they made people crazy.
That's true, but Ron Paul was also, and here's what's great about him. Ron Paul was the most donated to candidate by combat veterans.
Wow,
in
dude,
all of
he's
American
so
history.
legit.
And this is also part of why the only real anti-war movement we could ever have in this country would have to be a conservative anti-war movement or a libertarian anti-war movement.
Why is that?
And I think there are a number of reasons. I think that one thing conservatives have an advantage at when it comes to helping people who've been involved in wars see the error of it or want to adopt a more dovish foreign policy is they can say, like, look, I agree that all of the things that you believed you were fighting for and were told you were fighting for are good things. I think it's noble that you believed you were doing the right thing, that you went over there, but like, let me lay out why I think that you were being lied to and why these wars were not actually good for the American people, right? The right wing can do that. The right wing can say, you thought you were fighting for our country. You thought you were fighting for our flag. You thought you were fighting for God. Those are good things to fight for. But I don't think you were actually fighting for them. I think you were lied to. Let me explain that. Whereas with the left, they're like, the flag and this country and Christianity, these are all stupid things, and it's dumb to ever want to fight for them. Like, their movement is so unwelcoming to veterans who might reject the wars later on, which many of them do. I mean, one of my best friends, he fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he's the most anti-war person I've ever met in my entire life. But he's extremely conservative, and that's one thing he would always complain about, is that every single anti-war movement he would try to get involved with was explicitly left-wing.
Yep.
And so if we want an anti-war movement, it has to be an anti-war movement that's welcoming to veterans. And even if the left wants to claim that they are, they're not. They just aren't, because their values conflict so heavily with theirs.
Amen.
Well, there we go.
100%.
Should we do the super chat?
We
yeah.
totally
Yeah,
should.
sure.
We're half an
We got a
hour
lot of
over,
super
guys.
chats.
Sorry.
It's all good.
But for those that don't know, this is Seamus of FreedomToons.
Yeah, there he is.
Check out
Seamus
Freedom
FreedomToons.
Tunes on YouTube.
Yes,
It's
check it out.
funny. How would you describe it? Political satire?
Yeah, I just do like little short political cartoons, punchy political cartoons, sometimes educational stuff, but just mostly goofy.
Dude,
I
that Jack
love it.
Dorsey one, banning the New York Post
Man.
story, is really great.
Freaking
It's
Thank
really
you.
great. It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Please check it out, folks. Freedom
Yeah.
Tunes. That's OONS.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
man.
So, super chats. We got Matthew Hammond. It says Trump 2020 on a bullhorn.
Woo.
Well, it's taxed. We don't have
Okay,
a bullhorn, so
well.
unfortunately.
Ooh.
Let's see. About time you or a YouTube moderator unshadow banned me from your chat.
What?
What was that all about anyway? Couldn't even send super chats.
What? That's
I don't-
weird.
I don't think we have any
Why would we
moderators,
prevent someone
Who
from
was it that
banning
said
super
that?
chats?
This is
No, we don't.
Rosin Nanti.
No.
You're not a moderator.
So much
No.
for free speech, Tim.
I know. I would
Oh,
never.
we're explicitly anti-free speech here in the
It's
super
true. Yeah.
chats.
Sorry, guys.
No, YouTube is like you.
Oh, yeah.
You can't say certain words.
Yeah, I
That
believe
just
it.
won't work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I'll look at it.
Kendall says, "Does FreedomToons have a Venmo? Money on there to donate?"
Oh, that's I wouldn't
You have a
need it.
Patreon
I
or
don't.
something?
I
No.
do have.
You
I
have
have
Patreon?
Yeah, I have Patreon.
Why?
Well, the reason I have Patreon is because we tried using Subscribestar, but it just was not raising enough money for us to realistically keep churning a cartoon out every month. And also, all of the other tech platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are just as bad as Patreon, but we still use those because it's how we can get our message out. So yeah, patreon.com/freedomtunes or paypal.me/freedomtunes if you want to donate to what we're making. I do have a Venmo. It's like my personal Venmo, but I don't think it would hurt if I threw it out there for anyone who's
Whatever you wanna
interested.
do, man.
Yeah. look
I
it
don't
up, man.
remember the name of the account.
Well, I got a quick question. Mr.
Oh,
Sparky
another
says,
one, yeah.
"This is from at 8 o'clock. ACB got confirmed 52 to 46. So
52 to
who didn't vote?
I don't know.
Like,
I
is
gotta
it-
look
is
it
it
up.
AOC, you mean ACB? Did you say?
ACB. Yeah.
I see
said
AOC.
No, you said
No, I think
ACB.
you said
Oh,
ACB.
I'm just stupid, as it turns out.
Oh, okay. All right. We're
in your
good.
dream.
All right,
Let me look it up.
so my Venmo is at Seamus. See, my name is horribly difficult to
Seamus.
pronounce and spell. So it's
Seamus,
at SEAMUS COUGHLIN. If you want to support the cartoons,
Seamus Coughlin.
We're doing
Yeah.
it's basically that's spelled Seamus dash Coughlin. We're doing actually right now we are doing decent on ad revenue, which is really uncommon. We've had
That's
a great
cool.
past couple of months, but
Happy to
the
hear
ad
it.
revenue is really unreliable and it'll go up and down. So crowdfunding is mostly like what we can depend upon for something sturdy. So yeah, if you want to help us make more, please donate, especially because we do really short videos oftentimes, and YouTube, the two things that YouTube doesn't like are like conservative content and animated content, and I do both.
And short content.
And short content,
Yep.
yeah, and I do that's what I
Well,
do.
I have good news that'll cheer you up.
Oh.
On election night, we're going to be serving Jill Biden's famous chicken parmesan.
Oh my gosh.
I'm there. I was debating
Yes.
showing up. But
Do it.
now
We're
I'm
we're gonna make it.
concluded.
I'm
We're
really
gonna-
pumped.
So she put out this tweet. She's like her famous recipe for chicken parmesan or whatever.
Oh.
It's basically just chicken parmesan. We're
Yes.
gonna make it.
That's fantastic.
And it works.
That
It
sounds
works
great.
no matter who wins the night. I know we're not gonna know who the winner is.
Chicken parm.
But if Biden wins, then you have to eat it unhappily. Like we're eating Biden's. But if Trump wins, you get to gloatingly
"Woo,
like
chicken
and eat the
parm."
chicken parmesan.
I love chicken
It's
parm.
like eating out of your Jeb guacamole bowl.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Do they have those? Can
Yes, that was a thing.
I-
the
Oh my
Jeb
gosh.
guacamole
No.
bowl. Yes,
Let's
it
look
was.
it
up. I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
buy so many
Let
of
me make
those.
sure I'm not being fake news. Hashtag
Yes,
fake news
thank
right now
you.
because
Dude.
I remember seeing this and I'm pretty sure I would not have said it unless I was.
I'll
Pretty
buy
sure.
a bunch of them. We'll serve
Let's do
guacamole out
it.
of those Jeb bowls,
Heck
man.
yes.
Yeah, Jeb guacamole bowl.
Weird menu, but okay.
Jeb guacamole bowl. This is from Amazon.com. I think they're in short supply because I don't know if you guys know Jeb's campaign has been suspended. But I know. Here's how Jeb can still win.
no.
At Amazon, we have official Jeb Bush 2016 guac bowl guacamole. Yeah, so you can.
They're gonna sell out. So
In
get 'em while they're
NPR
hot.
Everyone's
it.
buying them right now.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's
Isn't it-
buying them right now.
Isn't it interesting though? I just pulled up this article how even like left wing platforms and publications will still sometimes promote a conservative if they're establishment enough.
That's
Like
the beauty of capitalism.
Well, this is
Wait.
This is an NPR article on revealing Jeb's secret guacamole recipe.
That.
I need to stop you.
Wait.
Yeah.
I think you may have just made a terrible mistake, Seamus.
What did I do?
You see, now we've got 40,000 or so people watching,
no.
and they're all going to go buy
Don't do
these
it.
guacamole
Don't
bowls.
do it.
Hold on. And Jeb is going to resurrect at the very
no,
last
no.
minute.
No.
That was the
Give
real
us
October
2020
surprise.
candle
That's
and
the
his-
2020
He
election.
sells 40,000 guacamole
Well, I know who the
bowls.
2024 candidate
He
is
buys,
gonna be.
he buys a billboard. You don't want Biden. You don't want Trump. You want Jeb.
Jeb.
And
No,
then
it's true.
people are just like, I'll take it.
I want it.
And that's how
It's
you get
funny.
Jeb.
Dude, I
October
honestly,
surprise.
I'm about. I look. If that happened, so be it. You know,
He
So
runs
be
in
it.
Okay with
2024 and he
If
wins.
Jeb wins because of me, just at the last
Yes,
moment, he's like, you know what?
please,
Maybe
God.
I'm gonna do this.
I
Yeah,
sold
man.
so many guacamole bowls. I was able to buy all the ad space, the YouTube masthead, just the most
Oh,
expensive
yeah.
real estate and
Do an
advertising.
YouTube banner ad, please.
And it's all of it is that meme of him going like, with
Even
the
if
country
it's
is
just
all
public
Jeb.
PR for Jeb for the next X amount of years going forward, a
I love
banner
it.
ad of him eating that guac.
Love it. I
That's
want
all
it.
I need. Just
That's
happily
all-
What
that's what I
eating
want.
can
guac.
I? Am I
Just put it up
legally
for a
like?
day.
Can I post a Jeb ad? Like, am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you are, right? Didn't we just
Can I just
discuss this
waste
how, like,
money and like get a billboard of Jeb?
Yes.
Just like Jeb.
all right.
Jeb guacamole bowls.
This is not legal advice, right? But we were just discussing this earlier. How when it comes to like campaign finance laws, there's really no law, as far as I'm aware, against like using your platform to promote a particular candidate. There aren't any hoops you have to jump through to do that. So maybe, Tim. I mean, frankly, I think we just did a great job promoting Jeb Bush right
I would
now.
say so.
I really do hope that by the time we finish, I can still pick up some of those guacamole bowls.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, like
Are they-
anxiously.
I shoulda
I'm
got
looking
one.
at it.
Get like
Yeah.
8 of them
gone.
or 10 of them or
Dude,
something.
I just
was there-
created a Jeb Bush guacamole bowl bubble, and our economy.
They're gonna be
and
on
right
eBay
before, right before the
He's gonna make
election.
some hires.
Right
man.
before the
There's
election.
gonna be a BuzzFeed article. Why is the price of the Jeb bowl guacamole bowl spiking?
So
It's at $3,000.
I have bad news.
like Bitcoin.
Right now, I'm mostly seeing on Redbubble. I'm seeing things like T-shirts. and
No.
I'm seeing like stickers. So I don't see the actual bowls.
I saw one on Amazon. Maybe you're just not looking hard
Maybe
enough.
someone bought it.
Possibly. That's possible.
Maybe there was one left,
Oh,
and now it's worth $1 million.
Oh,
customer. Oh, this is customer reviews. So I don't know if these are actually. And these reviews are not that great. They're all like
no.
1-star. Dude, these are all much one-star
no.
reviews. This is hysterical.
Oh,
Oh,
One
leave
of them
Jeb alone.
says, there's one 5-star review that says fantastic bowl, and there's a 2-star that says meh, low energy.
my gosh, I love it.
All right.
Okay.
Now that
right.
we've gotten
Okay.
our guacamole bowl
We
fixed,
have
let's read
to
some
do-
super chats.
Yeah, you're
Oh
right.
my
I'm
gosh.
sorry.
David Nash says, "Hey Tim, you need to get Maura Moynihan on. She's a
Moira?
journalist with the Epoch Times. She's an astonishing body of expert knowledge, especially China's global strategy history, re Tibet Uyghurs. Would be superb guest, and I've made her
Very
aware of
cool.
you. Stay frosty, brother.
Very
Interesting.
cool.
We'll definitely look into
We
Is
will
it.
it
Stay frosty.
Epoch or Epic?
Epic.
Epic Times?
Epic times.
They always
I
talk
don't know.
about China, right? They're the people who do the ads
They're
before
the
every
China
single
people.
YouTube
Yes,
video.
And
Watch
like-
it.
annoying.
Look at this. Let me show you this newspaper about what China's doing. He's like, look, this is really sick. And then he like pulls out.
So-
He's very
It's
hip.
true, yeah.
They used to be
Yeah.
they used to be considered credible by NewsGuard, and then NewsGuard changed because they said it was really funny. There was one story they did about a Trump rally, and they said they didn't include any negative information about it. Therefore, they're pro-Trump, and not disclosing that they're pro-Trump. Therefore, they're not credible. So I kid you not. I was like,
Sounds
they
pretty
just
logical to me.
just reported on the rally that it
Yeah.
existed. Like, what? That's crazy, man.
Oh, I'd love to have a China person on. I was gonna say
I would too.
What
Yeah.
are you
yeah.
saying right
You
now?
know what I was going to
What's
say.
going
What are you
on?
saying?
Cancel him.
Yeah, I was
Cancel.
gonna say this is.
Just to
I'm
talk
leaving.
about it because I need more information.
You mean
An
pro-China?
expert on Chinese
human
A China
There we
expert.
person. Oh my gosh.
All right.
All right.
Let's survive
Sam-
super chats here.
Samuel Eddy says, time traveling Tim Pool visits his younger self, telling him he's voting for Trump. Young Tim's reaction, present Tim's reason in response. Then an older Tim Pool from farther in the future, and he sounds like Alex Jones.
Yep. We're
Perhaps.
now in the Alex Jones phase.
There's always something to look
This is
forward
the
to,
Freedom
Tim.
No, there really
Freedom
is.
Tunes commercial.
Yeah.
Kid Truck says, just voted Saturday. I know you might not relate, Tim, but it felt good to press the button for Trump.
Boo,
I was
bitch.
too young to vote in 2016. Also, have you seen the DonaldTrump.watch website? Very scary. I did.
What's that about?
It's where it lists. So they basically took all the FEC data of all Trump's donors and plotted it on a map, so you can see where they all live.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's a good idea. That's probably really safe.
So what if someone
it's
did it to
wonderful.
Biden? You could do the same thing.
Did that to Biden?
I think.
That would be harassment, Tim. That's
But
wrong.
hold on.
That would be
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Think about what would happen if
Doing
someone.
that to Trump.
But right, think about what would happen if someone made Biden.watch. The media would go insane, right?
Yeah.
And then wouldn't it be weird that the media would be like, oh, how could they do this? It's like Donald Trump Watch exists too. How is that any different?
Yeah.
The media would clearly freak out over the Biden thing. Meanwhile, the Trump thing's staring everyone in the face. I think a lot of that double standard has slapped people in the face since 2016. Like the obvious lies, just ridiculously obvious lies. I had a friend tell me recently that people in their family you don't even watch mainstream news anymore because it's all just obvious lies.
Good for them.
I know a lot of people like that in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing is, I used to watch.
I ain't watching the mainstream
I used to
media
watch
over there
CNN all
anymore.
the time. I used to have CNN on all the time about a year and a half ago, and it started getting worse and worse. And I think it was around the time that there was like a storm was coming. There were like riots happening in some country. And then CNN was just like, well, Donald Trump. And I was like, okay, this is getting weird. Like, I can't. So I turned on Fox, and Fox actually had the news. And so then I was like, the CNN challenge, turn on news and see if you can find it.
Yeah, what's interesting how biases really manifest. Fox News will give you a very conservative spin, or not like a super conservative spin, but like an establishment conservative spin on a story. CNN will just straight up not tell you the story.
Right. So Karma and Kerosene says, Tim, come check out our band on YouTube. We're called Karma and Kerosene. We write heavy guitar music with pro-liberty, anti-authoritarian themes. We're trying to make American music great again.
Very cool.
Well, I have some big news.
Ooh.
I think we're like I think I'm like 5 days away from releasing my music video for Will of the People.
Man, I'm so excited.
I can't believe how good it sounds because I did not think I was that good at music. But once the producers go through it and so I did the guitar, the vocals, and I wrote the story and the lyrics and everything. The video is incredible. I'm so excited for this.
And
It's gonna
I
be really
actually
great.
I asked to help with the video, and Tim slapped me in the head.
It's true. I watched.
Just
it.
square
And
across
called
the
me
face.
Several
I sang some harmonies.
expletives.
I don't
And
know if it
racial
made it to the
slurs.
final
And
cut.
it
For
was just
Irish people.
horrible things. Yeah, just all these
It's true.
anti-Irish slurs.
It's true.
And I've never asked to work with Tim again. Frankly, I didn't even want to be here.
The way I see it
Wow.
is
Oof.
you're way more Irish than I am. So it's
True.
kind of like I take some damage in using the slurs, but you take more. So it's
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
it's fair.
acceptable
Exactly.
losses. Yeah.
No, it's
like
true.
it.
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Mr. Sparky says Clarence Thomas is going to swear in Amy Coney
That's what
Barrett
I heard.
tonight.
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
Perfection.
Talk about owning libs, baby.
So beautiful.
That's hysterical.
Love it.
Good old Clarence Thomas. He was educated by Catholic nuns in Savannah, Georgia.
Correct, sir.
It's my kind of
I-
man.
I don't-
Both of the theocrats of the papal states of America
Yes.
are getting together to strip us of our religious freedom and turn this country into a handmaid's tale. Is what's happening right now, Timothy.
Whoa.
Have you noticed the people who think that originalism means they want us to live in like the 18th century?
Not
That is
smart.
it's an Amish thing.
No,
Yes,
they
that's
think
smart bunch.
originalism, like there's people tweeting like, if you think we should live, according to the Constitution, you think that we should all, wear powdered wigs.
Exactly. Well, no, and
Like,
that's
not
why
literally-
50 Cent is supporting Trump, because 50 Cent was worth a lot more back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had much more purchasing power, and he
had
likes
more
ACB.
Right. All right.
All right.
Keckman says, Tim, ACB has been confirmed.
Yes.
I feel calmer now that she is in, just in case the election is contested now. Now, I know you might not be so open to this, but please, if you can you tweet at Trump and have him for a podcast, or Shapiro or Peterson? I would love to have any one of the three.
I could do all three of those voices.
Trump's not coming
right
in.
now, you
I have
know.
already
You
said
might.
that I want Donald Trump
You should.
on
Why
for
not?
dinner.
You're the biggest political YouTuber, or biggest explicitly political YouTuber.
I think
You
I
can
don't,
hit him up.
I don't know exactly who is, but I had over 100 million
Yeah.
views in 1 month.
Well, we talked about this. Like Joe Rogan is the biggest, but he's not like he talks about everything. Like in terms of people just focusing on politics, you probably do.
Well, so
have the
I'll put it
largest
this way.
presence on YouTube.
I don't know who is the biggest.
Oh.
But I don't know very many who get
So
over
you're-
100 million.
Dude,
Yeah.
you're one of the hugest in the world. Like the
Trump
private-
could
That's
get.
crazy.
First of all, I
You know,
could
that's
just
awesome.
upload a YouTube channel with my cell phone, and it would be better. Than
I'm bigger than
Timcast.
Vice News. My
Yeah.
one
Good for
of my
you.
channels is
Good
bigger
for
than
you.
Vice. That's
And
crazy.
Donald Trump Jr. follows you. Does he follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you could probably hit him up. That'd be awesome to get him on the show.
I want
You
him
should
on
just
for
tweet my
dinner.
videos.
Oh, maybe
at
Don
him, Tim.
Jr. for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Don Jr. would down to come
That
in
would
and
be
hang out.
fun.
Yeah, why not?
I bet he
We're
would.
gonna do a really big show on election night where we're gonna have the cameras turned in just like an open format,
That's gonna be
and we're
fun.
gonna have like 20 or 30 past guests and
It's
different
gonna
people just
be
showing up.
I need to get in shape.
Yeah,
we better start working
before
out.
that
It's got like a
happens.
week
Yeah.
and a half.
And we're gonna serve. We really are going to be serving Jill Biden's chicken parmesan.
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
make pizza.
kidding.
Who's cooking that?
I will.
Is it
There
going
you
to be
go.
vegan,
Yeah.
Lydia?
No,
No,
It's
we're
not
we
vegan
are
version of it.
we are gonna make a
Absolutely
vegan
not.
version. We
couple
are.
of vegan pizzas.
You're bad.
I'm angry. What's
Yeah.
happened to this country?
Chicken parm.
We are
Whoever
gonna-
eats the vegan stuff, I know they're voting for Biden.
Yeah.
No, Adam is
Adam's
voting for
great.
Trump.
I know.
Adam
I'm
loves
just
Trump.
joshing
It's true.
around.
We got vegans out here. We got vegans here for Trump.
That's true. You know it's bad when the vegans are voting for Trump, man.
Oh man, that's
Trump's
how you
the real
know.
deal.
I thought it was bad when the skateboarders were voting for Trump. I was deep down like I was worried. I'm like, oh, man, are all these skateboarders going to be super anti-Trump? Because I want to invite them out to skate my mini ramp. No, they're all pro-Trump.
know what's really funny?
Creepy how pro-Trump they are.
I was talking to this girl a while ago, and she's talking about like her neighborhood in Georgia, in Savannah. And she's kind of lamenting. She's like, yeah, well now like the neighborhood's changed, and like all these like vegans are moving in. And I was like, is vegan a dog whistle for white people? Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
she's like,
man.
yes. She said
of
yes.
course
She's like,
it
yeah,
is.
you caught me.
You caught
Started
me.
laughing.
Yeah,
That
man.
was really funny.
All right, I got a super chat.
All right, we got
The
super
other
chats.
white nerd says, hey, Tim, I can't cover the full $500 Seamus owes you for the Freedom Tune.
Oh, that's
But
right.
hope this helps. Also check out Adam Lichman's 13 Keys. He predicted Biden. But after the peace deals, let me see. There's a
Oh, wow.
one out of two here.
Oh, where's the other?
Where's the
I
other
like where
half of
that's
that?
going.
I like that.
I don't know where the other half
Make
is.
Seamus
Anyway, I will say, that's right, Seamus. You've never paid me that money you owe me.
Hold on. Here's the thing. I've given you more than that value back in terms of my presence in your life. I'm a good friend.
yeah.
I'm a ray of sunshine
I'm
that
gonna
you're
need to see
privileged to deal
receipts
with.
for that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Look, that's fair. Literally, all I've done is just sponge off of Tim. I
It's
come
true,
here,
it's
I
fantastic.
crash on his
you so
couch. I
much.
eat his vegan pizza.
Yeah.
We
good
did
stuff.
have a vegan pizza earlier.
It
That's
was.
great.
Why would you
Another
tell
one.
people I did that?
You
I'm
started
really
it.
humiliated.
Admitted it.
I straight up ate vegan pizza, and I'm sorry, mom and dad.
for
I'm
you.
so
I know you didn't
sorry.
want my life to become this.
We have
here we are.
we bought these things from the store that are called Diaritos.
And I said, "Is that
Oh.
Olestra? Is that those Olestra
the
chips?"
chips.
Yeah.
hold on.
Leakage,
That's
right?
disgusting.
It is stop being rude. They are
Don't
it
be
is
rude.
it is vegan.
Being rude.
It's a vegan cheese called Dia cheese.
Yes.
And they sell Dia cheese burritos.
Yes.
So we call
They're
them Diaritos.
Terribly named.
Really poorly named.
I
That's
have-
bad branding.
Diaritos. They're delicious. It's very good.
I hate the name
Yes.
so much.
I'm gonna make
I
one
make
after
the
the
joke
show.
every time, you guys. Don't worry.
All right, let's see. What are these people in the super chat talking about now? Oh, we got a ton of super chats. This is
lost
crazy.
one.
That's great.
Thank you guys so much.
there's a lot of
your $50, Tim.
Yeah,
you know?
there you
I
go.
love you.
Oh yeah. Judge Wade says, we know that universities are incredibly corrupt and have bloated administration and social justice programs. I support student loan forgiveness whereby the schools has to pay the wasted tuition back to the lenders.
Yes.
Well, and aren't a lot of these universities really just hedge funds disguised as
Yep.
colleges? Like they invest all
Yep.
of this extra money, and then they sort of have an academic infrastructure on top of it, but they mostly just fill all their positions with, like, they create a bunch of administrative
Yep.
positions, and none of it goes towards educating the students. So they probably, a lot of those institutions probably have the money.
Nailed
That's all
it.
I'm saying. Maybe now I can't actually say that with certainty. I haven't seen the figures, but I'm still fine with it.
I heard this.
If
yeah.
anyone
So-
suffers, it should be them.
Yes.
Someone has said Ian is incorrect. I don't think I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. D. Xochitl.
Xochitl? Mm-hmm.
Did I pronounce
Ian
it?
is
Oh,
incorrect.
desotional. Okay.
Ian is incorrect. President Clinton signed the 1998
okay.
HEA where students cannot discharge student loans in
Oh,
bankruptcy.
really?
Ian, yeah,
Yes.
Ian.
Wow.
How dare you
How did you
disparage
not-
the good name
bro,
of George
I
W. Bush?
literally-
Oh my God.
I told you I
didn't sign that
Well, first of all, thank
I never
you.
did that. That wasn't true.
clarifying.
That was a guy before me.
I wouldn't do that.
Clinton.
That's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay, but now
corrected.
do Bill Clinton laughing about it,
Oh my gosh.
like gloating that he did it.
Maybe I did sign it.
Oh my god.
You know what I love about Family Guy? When they made Clinton like a sexual deviant.
Yeah, they just made him
So-
weird.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
like
they made him
They
one.
made him weird. Yeah, that wasn't
was
him
weird.
at
I mean,
all.
like-
I know.
they really pushed
yeah,
into it.
yeah, of course.
So there was the one episode the other day.
Oh man, I don't even want to. I can't even go there.
I'm gonna say what happened.
Do it.
So
Oh,
it's
please
the
don't.
one where it's
Do it. Oh,
Halloween
man.
and it's Meg and Chris are in costumes where you can't see their faces, so they're doing 7 Minutes in Heaven. And then they're like, "What are they doing?" And then it turns out Meg and Chris, brother and sister, are hooking up in the closet because they couldn't see.
That's horrible.
no.
And then they're all screaming like, "What have we done?" And then Bill Clinton runs in and goes, "Oh, I guess we're all getting in on this one."
Oh my gosh. Oh
Bill
no.
Clinton.
It's horrible.
Okay,
It's
next
horrible.
thing. Next thing.
Next big super chat. Graf von Tyrrell says, "Here's to a bountiful salt harvest."
Thank you.
Hashtag spin the UFO.
UFO.
I'd
Well,
love
I've
to.
got bad news,
We got,
but I've got
we
good
get it.
news.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
Which
no
is it?
UFO,
Oh.
but on the way are floating potted plants.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah.
For real?
On the way
Yeah.
to what?
Spin those.
On the way here.
And
So
so we have multiple
Oh.
air blowers, so we can all spin.
What? You
Dude,
guys
I'm
didn't
so
tell me about
stupid.
this?
I'm so stupid that when he said on the way are spinning plants, I was like, no, like I didn't see anyone. I was on the way here.
They're
Like,
coming.
I, literally-
They're
I
coming.
know.
They're in the
Way.
mail. They'll be here soon.
Tim, you didn't tell me. I'm crushed.
I'm so excited. I want to get one for my office.
That looks pretty darn.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
And
pretty
like,
darn
I
cool.
guess you put, like wheatgrass in it or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe we can put like a big flower and it just spins. I wonder what the plant like goes through when you're spinning it around like crazy.
They say that's good for plants.
Spinning them at
Yeah,
high.
because that's what they do in nature. you just
I was gonna say this seems
Earth?
just spin
natural.
it. They say,
like how Earth spins.
Yeah.
I once see a rose going about 1,000 RPMs once. Just
it like took off. Yeah, exactly. That's how they pollinate, dude.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine if flowers did that?
Didn't you learn about plants in
Just
school?
walking around
Make the world
outside
really
and they're
exciting.
spinning and then shooting in the air. You have to watch out because they launch. Oh,
Oh my gosh. I
so
love it.
yes.
I need to live in
I
this
can't
world.
imagine that.
That sounds like
Here we
fun.
go. Darth Starbucks says maybe the solution to money in politics is educating people to be smart about
Yep.
basic political manipulation and the age-old P.T. Barnum tricks that still work today.
Here's the thing. I don't know if we need a population where everyone is really well educated. We just need a population of people who are virtuous, can work for themselves and provide for themselves and
Yes.
their
And
families
that's a
and
form
want
of
to.
education. Like
Yeah.
you got to
That's
teach
true,
them
yeah.
when they're young.
Yeah.
That's
Your
true.
parents
You have
teach
to
you.
learn
But it's
early.
Parents.
What if we had a just like a culture of people who took whatever they wanted whenever they wanted and didn't have any morals, so they were totally willing to just kill and steal?
That's actually a good
That's a
idea.
pretty
Tim.
good
I didn't
Everyone
consider
just
that.
went
I like
around.
that, yeah.
Maybe everybody would go around wearing like leathers with battle
Oh my
axes and just take from
Oh, that sounds
whoever.
amazing.
That's a
That
good
would make me
idea.
very mad.
And then
Oh,
all
yeah.
that would be
All right,
left are
max.
like
To the
super
max.
Yeah,
ultra
to the
ripped
max.
7-foot tall dudes roaming the earth,
That
taking
would
what
make
they
me
want.
pretty mad.
Eaters, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What'd you call 'em?
Maximally angry.
Yeah, maximally
my-
angry.
Hungry.
Correct.
Hungry.
All right, here we go.
Right. Okay.
Brawny.
Justin
get
W
focused.
says, "Hey Tim, my first baby daughter is due in December,
God bless him.
and the top
for him.
recommended baby book on Amazon for my baby registry was Anti-Racist
Boo.
Baby.
Oh
Good.
no.
Good. Even better.
I won't be
Boo.
buying any baby books from Amazon.
Oh.
Why? Do you want to have a racist baby?
Well, come on, man.
First of all, it is not enough for your
Don't
baby to
not
not be
be
racist.
anti-racist.
Your baby needs to
Must
be
be
anti-racist.
actively anti-racist.
Actively.
Actively anti-racist baby.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. Joe Jorgensen for the win.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh no.
True libertarianism.
Wiggles says, removing student loan interest removes any incentive to pay off the loan. How about applying all of your federal
I
income
don't
tax
care.
towards the student loan? That lowers the debt burden and lowers the government incentive to subsidize colleges.
No, I don't think I
Because
will.
you'll fine them for being late on their payments and not
No.
undo those.
Yes, and you can also just garnish their wages if they don't pay their if they're not paying. So your interest is gone, and if you can't pay when you get a job, we garnish your wages.
What was
Yeah,
the second
that's
part that he said as the other option of
Having your federal income tax go to the student loan to lowering the debt burden and
No.
lowers government incentive to subsidize colleges.
No, because then what happens is a bunch of people who decided not to go to college or went to trade school or went to community college so that they could save money are going to be burdened with a higher income tax because they have to pay off other people's debt. Like that actually wouldn't be the right solution.
Right.
Here we go. Stevie B says, Target Smart and RCP useless. Dem versus Republican cancel each other out. Look at independent section in poll. Trump to lose Wisconsin and Michigan. Trump
Oh.
barely wins Florida and North Carolina. PA unclear.
That's fascinating.
Look,
Yeah.
man, the polls are insanely pro-Biden. But could you imagine a Biden presidency?
It would be
Kind of.
great. He would end racism.
Yeah.
That's
He
pretty
would
much-
forget
would.
where he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd forget.
He'd be
He'd
funny.
He'd fall
You
asleep.
would know what year it
It'd
was.
be really funny.
It's forward
Then
thinking.
Cenk Uygur would start freaking out.
He would
on
forget
him.
he
We'd
was
find
president.
another excuse to go to war.
I gotta say though, isn't Joe Biden disqualified because he announced he was running for the Senate twice?
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
I wonder if
You're
there's
right.
like, could you imagine if
did.
like, hold on, could you imagine Joe Biden wins, but then Trump finds some obscure loophole where because Joe Biden accidentally said he was running for Senate, he disqualified himself from running for president,
That would be so
and then Trump
amazing.
wins by default.
By the way, I'm a Scottish lord. I might have told
He
you.
is,
I
yes.
just mentioned I bought some land in Scotland.
What?
You can buy like 10 square feet or 100 square feet of land, and then you can become an official lord of
You're a
Scotland.
lord.
Just for the
100
title?
square
Yeah.
feet? That's
Well,
kind
you
of
can
a
get
lot.
1 square foot and become a Scottish lord.
One.
But I think
cool.
if you hold a title in a foreign country, you can't run for office in the
Ah,
U.S. So
snap.
I might have to
Buku
Yeah.
can't.
give away the land at some point.
Give it to
if I
Bucko.
want to get into
Or
politics.
give it to
Yeah.
just annex it for the United States.
Yeah.
And then you'll
yeah.
get
That's a
elected.
good
You've
idea.
already gained
Donate it.
more land for this
Cool.
country.
I love it.
Here we go. Tom M says, I think polls are off for 2 reasons. Definition of likely voter no longer valid. Models aren't correct, i.e. Trump voters crawling over glass.
Yeah.
Remember the sliding bar model you covered? A couple percent can cause landslides. I'm going to tell you something. I voted.
Me too.
Oh, no.
I voted.
I wanted to.
I voted Republican Congress, President,
Yep.
Senate
I
for the first
know.
time in my life. And then there was like something on it about like teachers, I guess. I just wrote in Ron Paul,
Something,
Rand Paul,
something.
and I wrote in Ian.
Ian.
I was like,
I
I don't,
win.
Ian.
I don't know what it is, so I'm not voting for people I don't know them. And I did know the Republican, and I'll tell you this, man. I have friends and family members who grew up Chicago Democrat, hate the
Yeah,
Republicans,
me
voting
too.
Republican.
Me too.
And if you have gotten me to the point where I could make a video complaining about Democrats and still be like, but I'm not voting for Trump, to finally be like, okay, fine, I'll vote for Trump. And you got Johnny Rotten doing it.
Yeah.
And you see these videos of like this young green-haired woman who gets in her car and she's like, F it, why not? I voted Trump.
Wow.
Like it's going viral.
I
I was just
didn't
thinking
see
about
that.
her yesterday.
So
Wait,
he
I
has
think
secured
that's
the
girl.
green-haired vote.
Yeah, the green-haired vote.
Sure
Well,
did.
no, and this is something I noticed myself. I mean, back in 2016, I wasn't a big fan of Trump. He kind of scared me. I thought, I don't know if he's actually going to be a good pro-life president. But look, it was him or Hillary. The Supreme Court's really important. So I very reluctantly voted for him. But it's funny because so often I remember hearing from left-wing people, I voted enthusiastically for Obama the first time and reluctantly the second time. I feel the exact opposite. I
Right.
voted reluctantly for Trump the first time. I am voting enthusiastically
I have
for him
seen
the second
so
time.
much of that.
John Marafa says Walter Mondale promised to raise taxes in 1984 and lost in a 49-state landslide to Ronald Reagan.
That's right. And all of the polls said that Reagan was going to lose.
Really?
Yes, the entirety. I don't know about all the polls, but I know that the mainstream media was basically painting it to suggest that that Ronald Reagan was gonna lose the election, and
What
then
it-
he won.
Whoa.
It was a landslide. He won.
Could
at
you
basically every
imagine?
Dude,
state.
they're both populist actors.
Trump uses Reagan's slogan.
It's the
Make
second
America
term
great again.
incumbent.
It was-
And then
This
Yeah.
is so.
and then Biden
Interesting.
tried to do like a basically the same slogan but more clunky, build back better, which is the same thing. And I saw one sign for Biden, and I'm not sure if it's one of his campaign's official slogans or if it was just the one that the artist made, but it was like restore the soul of our nation. I was like, yeah, make America great again. Like that's literally the
Right.
exact same thing.
Yep. They don't have any. Could you imagine if we see like the polls being all wrong? Dude, look, I tell you what. There's one reason I want Trump to win in the media capacity. I want comeuppance. I want the American people to be like, what is wrong with these people? Because the first time it's fool me once. We say, well, the media got it wrong. They made a mistake. We're going to watch them.
No,
Then
they
they got
didn't.
Russia wrong. They got Ukraine wrong.
They
impeachment
apologize
failed.
for that though, Tim.
No, listen.
I'm kidding.
I want the polls to be like Biden up 20. And then Donald Trump wins 49 states.
That'd be awesome.
And then everyone looks at the media and screams, what is wrong with you? Maybe.
And we had a smaller version of that in 2016. We did.
Right.
I'd like to see a reboot
Yeah.
on a much larger
listen,
scale.
a lot of people forgive the media for this. Now you got Nate Silver, who's like...
They've forgiven worse.
Nate Silver tweets, it's really bad that I already know what Trafalgar Group is going to say before I even click the link.
It's not.
Because Trafalgar predicted a Trump victory. He's like, I don't know what they're doing, but I know what they're going to say. And it's funny because I'm like, I already know what you're going to say when I click your link, 538. You're like, Trump is losing by 50 billion points. And then I open Rasmussen, and it could go either way. Rasmussen some days like he's doing good. He's nice. They do the daily tracking thing, and it goes up and down. I don't trust 538 because everything they say is entirely predictable.
Yep.
It's like I know exact. You know what's really funny? There was an article Apparently 538 has one of their forecast models showing Trump winning California, but losing the Electoral College. It's like their models are insane.
Here's the thing. I made this decision in 2016 that I was just totally out of the business of making any prediction about anything relevant to Donald Trump. But had you asked me a year and a half ago, I would have said, like, yeah, I think Trump's going to win. Like, I think he's has it in the bag. I'm actually not sure. You know, things have changed so much. I feel like it's kind of close.
Right now?
Yeah, I'm actually excited. Like, it's actually like, this is not in the bag for either of them. I would be very sad if Biden won, but it's hard for me to say that I would be entirely shocked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know that
and they could steal it too. Like,
yeah.
Because most people I know, most people in my circles, and most people who I just deal with online, are voting for Trump, but that could just be my own very biased circle. I don't really know. Like, outside of that, a lot of people are really angry with Trump and fed up with him, and they've been convinced that all of the social instability we're experiencing right now is a result of his presidency, which I disagree with, but they see it that way. So I could actually see him losing because of that.
But
I
know
don't
what?
agree, but it's a possibility.
I think it's hard for me to believe all the polls are going to be wrong, to be honest. Like, because these are 7 points off. Like, this is insane for all these polls to be wrong. But we have several polls saying Trump's winning. Democracy Institute, Trafalgar Group, Rasmussen.
And these are not like pro-Trump organizations, or are they?
So Trafalgar Group got Trump right in 2016.
Okay.
And now they're saying these polls are missing the shy Trump voter, which is going to swing it for Trump.
That's huge.
Democracy Institute, Sunday Express was
Silent
British.
majority, yeah.
So it's like, if we've got some polls saying he's going to win, is it stupid to just pick the polls you like? That's what people are doing.
Yeah, always.
But I'll tell you, man, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah, I think it's a big
Trump
part
is
of it.
still Trump is still winning the polling on the economy.
Yep.
And
Is
you
he?
mean to tell me that for all of listen, if I told you go to the average person and say, we're going to put a guy across the street from you who, whenever you walk out your door, he yells random insults like moron, fatty, fat pig, but we're also going to give you $500 a month cash money.
I'll take that.
Exactly. They're going to be like,
he doesn't challenge you to do push-ups and sniff your kid.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, like, would you be willing to have a guy screaming at you every time you leave your house if it meant you got cash every month?
Well, this is the thing.
I'd laugh.
He's not screaming at me. He's screaming at people who don't like me.
Well,
You know, he's like
look,
screaming at the
too,
media for the
yeah.
most part. He's like yelling at people who view us with contempt.
would you
Doesn't
accept
bother me all that much.
the way I put it is like this: imagine your toilet breaks,
Yeah.
and it's been broken for a long time. You're really upset, and the plumbers you hired aren't fixing it, and you're like, okay, I'm hiring a different guy. So you hire a different guy. He comes in. He's overweight. He smells bad. His butt crack's popping out, and he keeps swearing and insulting, like, your dog is so dumb. Well, let me go fix it.
ugly dog.
And then he fixes your toilet. And he's fixing it, and you're like, wow, he's doing a great job. It's like, it's starting to work. Our plumbing's never been this good ever.
Works great, man.
And then the other plumbers are outside screaming at you, insulting you, saying you're stupid for hiring this guy. Don't hire him, fire him, hire us
Yep.
again. And you're like, listen, man, this guy's in my house. He won't shut up. It's really annoying me. But those people didn't fix anything.
The truth is, I would look for a third plumber.
Yeah, I'd look for maybe
happened.
another
I don't
Can't
know.
work with jerks.
But if, like, we had
I mean,
the
I
best
can, I
best
just don't
economy
want
in
to.
generations. It was the best numbers of our lives.
Also,
according to Jim
I
Cramer.
don't agree.
I'm the
with-
best
yeah.
plumber, and I'm not even going to charge. And I'll give you a discount.
The
Maybe
greatest
the
plumber.
discount. Actually, now we're talking. A jerk plumber that's good that gives me a discount. Yeah, I'd rehire him.
Trump
If he's
gave
gonna
us
cut my
some of the best
taxes.
economic numbers of
I
our
know.
lives. And everybody was saying it, and
Yep.
except for the Democrats, they don't want to admit it.
Nope, everyone
But
agreed.
Jim Cramer on CNBC said it.
Well, this is also the other thing with the plumber analogy. Part of where it breaks down is with what I mentioned earlier. The people he insults are people who have contempt for us, and also people who politicians have not stood up to in the past. Like, Republicans have always played ball at the media.
Right.
It's really disgusting.
Desperate to be like, I want to be
Humiliating.
cool.
Yeah.
Please
Don't
call
call
me
me
cool.
mean names. And look where that got him. You know, Trump doesn't care.
Peter Bema says, Biden, truth over lies. Funniest yards I've ever seen.
Truth over.
Resef says, Tim, Robert Barnstein said that he thinks that Nate Silver is purposely telling pollsters to pump the poll numbers up for Biden so they can say Trump stole the election.
That's funny.
I don't buy
Yeah, I don't buy.
know.
I'm not into all the
Nate Silver
theories,
doesn't
but
control the University of Texas polling. Like, that's ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for the fact that people pick polls, and especially people in the media pick polls that make it look like their candidate's going to win because they want to discourage people who
Right.
would vote for the opposing candidate. So
Right.
there's something nefarious there, but that's a little much.
Hollowed by Be Thy Game says, take some China sanctions and pay towards student debt. Love the show. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Mackay Bree says, breaking now, ATF to redefine AR-AK style pistols as falling under NFA. Follow military arms channel. This puts millions of owners at criminal risk. Massive political move to derail Trump. Why would that derail Trump? Trump would come out and be like, we're going to stop that.
So, yeah.
Trump would say,
no, you can't do that, stupid.
He would actually come out and be like, we're going to ban bump stocks.
Exactly. Yeah, that was sad.
I
Yeah.
didn't like that very much.
It's very rough.
Callan Shaw says, I've been told George Washington University is a real estate company that occasionally gives out diplomas.
Wow.
Here's the thing about George Washington. I like presidents who didn't cut down a cherry tree.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah, that's fair. I
Didn't
like
didn't
that.
Abraham Lincoln do the same thing?
I think it was the same story. Cut down his dad's cherry tree.
Yeah.
He was like, I planted more of them, and I didn't.
Oh. Callan Shaw goes on to say, also, Seamus is in fact a ray of sunshine.
This is true.
I'm glad somebody thinks
100%.
so. Thank you, guys, all of you. You're very kind. I'm going to tear up a little.
Don't do it.
Truth Seeker says, I'm in Wisconsin, left lib, voting red. I bet Wisconsin is closer than they think. I think their models are broken because information exchange is too rapid.
Yeah.
And I also don't think they understand how COVID affected polling. Like, how do you predict what COVID did?
Yeah, it totally
Listen.
That's fair.
If in March, when they announced the lockdowns were coming, some 26-year-old dude went to, his parents' place. He's like in New York City for college, and he goes back to, rural PA.
Yeah.
And then registers there and stays there.
Oh, that's a good point.
They're not.
I was just thinking about mindset being changed.
It's just
yeah.
people have
locations.
listen. People have moved around so much across the country. Wow. We have no idea who registered, who's voting where. It's going to be weird, man. They're saying that Biden's up in Texas. For real, that Biden's polling higher than Trump in Texas.
Sure he is.
That's
All those
really weird.
liberals moved
The
to Texas.
first time in 44 years Democrats would win Texas if they win Texas. Yeah. So anyway, look,
There's a lot at stake there. If Democrats start winning Texas, we got problems.
This has troubled Ted Cruz
the
for a
polls
while.
could be wrong because people, mostly the rich people, moved first. Rich people in
Yep.
New York flee, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
They spread out in random directions.
And then they write op-eds from their mansions in other cities and states about how New York isn't actually dead.
Yep.
But how many? No, but the people who stayed are saying that. The people who fled are probably more likely to be conservative, or right, or more conservative at least.
No, I was making fun of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the wealthier people flee. I mean, actually, you know what? I take that back. The wealthier people are funding Biden. This could be bad for Trump. But I think it's fair to say the polls are probably off simply because throughout this whole past year, people have been moving to different locations.
That
people
is
who are-
so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Nope. No
I
clue.
do think
Oh.
No predictions
I'll
from me.
I'll tell you, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll give you my gut feeling. Trump is going to win,
I hope you're
but
right.
there's
Tim.
going to be a bunch of weird things happening with lawsuits and polls, and they're going to say Trump stole it.
Everyone, just go out, vote for Trump, pray the rosary.
Yep. There you go.
That's my advice.
Boom. Done. Nailed
There
it.
you go.
Excellent.
Well, anyway, it's about 10:30. Seamus, thanks for
my
hanging out.
gosh.
Thanks
But,
so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You're hanging out for quite a bit, so we're gonna
Yeah.
see a bit more of you.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to keep putting up with me. So
Yes.
get used
And we're
to that.
having on the third, there's gonna be a really big party, so we're having people come out, and we're gonna get weird with it.
No,
we're
we're
gonna-
not.
we're just gonna-
Wearing
I
pajamas.
think I need to catch my flight back.
We are
Done
gonna
back.
dance party.
I'm not trying to get
we are-
weird.
listen,
Yeah, I don't know.
we are going to have
Me and Lydia
cameras.
will.
Cameras,
go to
just like
church.
we're gonna have
Yes.
a wide shot. We're gonna have
People see us
random people.
eating.
It's gonna be like I don't know exactly who's coming, but you're gonna see like a famous YouTuber just like walk up and sit down and start talking to Seamus
I do
or
want a
whatever.
pajama
And cussing
party.
me out for the impression I did of
Pajamas.
them. And
Yes,
it's
that's
Right.
amazing.
No one there is gonna like me.
And we're gonna
No
be
one
watching
anywhere
and
likes
listen,
me.
Learn to love.
and
it.
you are
I
going to
hope
get
so.
to watch the reaction when the final results of the night come in. We won't know who exactly won, but
We'll have an
perhaps you'll see someone drop to their knees and scream
I
no.
hope so.
Probably.
Yeah, this is what I
So
was thinking. I was
funny.
like, if I predict that Trump wins, then like a couple weeks from now, I'm gonna be in like cringe comps going no, screaming at the sky as
That's
Biden's
right.
sworn in.
I know.
I am gonna if Biden wins, I'm putting my feet up and I'm laughing, man. I'm along for the
What
ride,
can you
baby.
do?
Yeah, like what do you do?
Do your best.
You can attain.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be very upset, but yeah, that's also
Sure,
something that would be
listen.
out of my hands. Right? Again, should just pray, live my life, but it would not thrill me.
The big difference, I
More
think.
children would die. More unborn children would be murdered.
I was like
the
when-
big-
Oh, you
I was
go
gonna say
first.
the big difference between I guess like people like me and these people is that when Trump lost, when Trump won, when Hillary lost, they drop to their knees and they scream and they cry, and I'm just like, you ever see that GIF, the meme of the two women going, "Oh my God," and the guy's going, "Yeah."
Oh, I love
You know,
that.
I think so.
That's kind of what
freaking
it's like.
love that
It's
GIF.
like if Biden won, I would just laugh because like the absurdity of life. First of all, you can't do anything if he wins.
That's
What
the
are we gonna
thing,
do?
yeah.
You're gonna go and scream? No, what's the point? I'm gonna be like, well, we'll figure it out. We'll
I don't
laugh,
know.
have a good time, and you know.
I mean, if he defeats Abe Lincoln, I think it's civil war.
I mean, yeah, it would have to be. Yeah,
I'll go kayaking.
that's right.
You just what do you make? This is one of the issues that actually moderates and conservatives have is they go with the flow too often.
Yep, that's
And
the
the
problem.
left goes and burns down buildings.
And we laugh at them, but they are winning the culture. Where
So
they won the
listen.
culture war.
In New York, a cop got suspended for saying MAGA 2020 over his Trump 2020 over his bullhorn because people were screaming at him. They suspended him without pay. But when the top ranking guys took a knee for Black Lives Matter, they got clapped and cheered for and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So what happens is the left's willingness to burn down their cities means that the pathetic, spineless, whiny losers of the NYPD will give them whatever they want.
Yeah, but Antifa's got to be careful. Like any rebellion, it burns for a little while, and then if it gets to be too much, the feds come in and annihilate it.
Well, and
so
also-
they've got to be careful.
Well, and also the revolution eats its own children, right? I mean, all of the people who are out
Oh,
in
yeah.
front
Yep.
cheering for this.
They're
are
the
gonna be
first. They're the
gonna be
first to go. And then the intelligentsia, those that fomented the revolution and rallied them.
Yep.
And then people think it's counter-revolutionaries. It's like,
No, it's not. It's the revolution.
I mean,
itself.
they're on the list, but yeah, the people who started the revolution are the biggest threat to those who seize power. So you can complain. Actually,
there's no one wants even the subversive do not want subverters in their system.
but think about this: if there was a revolution, they would actually entertain a show like this to prove they're actually not that bad. So no, we allow them to speak because we don't do anything. We don't go out. We don't march. We don't riot. It's no threat to them. It's just us talking and complaining and then going and, I don't know, eating Cheetos or something. Then they're going out with torches.
Eating Diaritos.
Diarrhea.
Gosh.
Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens on election day. So tune in. It's going to be a fun kind of open format thing. I'll probably be just skating, hanging out because I got the TV downstairs in the skate park now. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
But yeah, thanks for hanging out, Seamus. So
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We have you scheduled for another show at sometime this week, so he's going to be here. But you can follow Seamus, FreedomToons on YouTube.
Yeah.
And Twitter, Seamus Coughlin.
Check me out, FreedomToons on Twitter. Yeah, it's spelled Seamus Coughlin, pronounced Seamus Coughlin, at Seamus Coughlin on Twitter, or just look up FreedomTunes on Twitter, and I should be the first person that comes up.
Bucko came in because it's, he usually comes.
Way overdue.
Yeah, we're way over.
Yeah.
So you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Timcast, and you can check out my other YouTube channels, youtube.com/Timcast and youtube.com/TimcastNews. And don't forget, we are on all of the podcast platforms.
That's correct.
So you can go subscribe on your iTunes, your Spotify, or whatever as you kids are listening to today. And of course, Ian Crossland has things you can follow.
Everybody, I love you. You
Yeah,
can follow
man.
me, Ian Crossland, on. I like Twitter, so get me there, and all the other social networks I'm on.
All of
Pretty
us
much.
too.
Is Bucko going to be on camera?
He is.
Yes, and
He's
then
over
there's,
here with me. I took a scratch so I could get him on the screen. You
was
guys
worth
are
it.
welcome.
You can follow Sour Patch Lids.
OIDS. I have pictures of the cat
Bucko.
sometimes.
And now
go to Tim.
Oh,
there's
snap. There he is.
there's a cat.
Get ready to come to me.
Oh,
He's
making the rounds.
putting his butt
I
in
love
my-
this cat.
He's looking for water, so he
Yeah.
tries to find people's glasses and then
Hi,
he can see
Bucko.
and drink from them.
All right.
He just wants something to knock off the table, dude.
Yeah.
so
That's what
nice.
they do.
That's what they do.
All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out.
Hey,
We're going to have
buddy.
clips up tomorrow. Show's live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Smash that like button on your way out.
Go to
Send us
Seamus
your
real-
loves, comments.
Go to Seamus real quick. Oh, I just wanted
Oh,
more
it's just-
Bucko.
Oh,
He just
my
ditched
God.
me.
It was worth
There
it.
we go.
Now go to Tim.
Okay. All right.
Wait, maybe I can get him to walk close enough to me. Oh, there's his butt on camera. Oh, no.
Enjoy.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna say goodbye, guys.
We will see you all tomorrow.
Same time. Same
Well,
place.
we're scheduled to have on a
Gosh.
leftist YouTuber,
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Vosh,
We're not
I think
supposed
it's
to
pronounced,
say.
and
Yeah,
he's I think it'll be an interesting conversation. Yeah,
Be fun.
cool. See you all tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye, guys.